Hey guys, just a super quick note before we get started. The last podcast we did and this podcast were really close together because we delayed the previous podcast. So I thought I'd just release this as a big double podcast episode. So enjoy. Super long double podcast episode. This is the last podcast we did and this podcast together. Just released them a little bit later or earlier, depending on which podcast episode you were looking for. But yeah, enjoy guys. So super long episode for you guys. Welcome guys to Prepared episode 27, your weekly TBC breakdown. So we are back. We made it. We almost didn't get the podcast, but we got it for this week. We got a lot of PvP stuff to talk about today regarding the ban waves. I have screenshots and information and breakdowns of a lot of what happened. For people that don't know, a lot of people got banned. 60% or more of Oceania got banned. There's a lot of things happening, and there's a bunch of other ban waves as well going out. I know Paladins got banned. A bunch of people got banned for doing the Ogrila flask abuse exploit thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff going on, and then we have SSC TK week 1 overviews as well. We can have a look at that because not many people are killing Vashj, but not Zirene though. Not Zirene. Zirene is in the clear for killing Vashj, even on his split raid.
Yep,
definitely did. They did not die 11 times.
Yeah. Not everybody in the raid died 11 times. Some people might have died 11 times. Actually, I definitely died more than that. I got 2 battle reses and died.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I remember when yesterday, for people who don't know, when we were waiting for the podcast yesterday, and why we didn't do it is because Vashj was having fun with Rain, or Rain was having fun with Vashj for 3 to 4 hours. We tuned in, and I remember at one point early on, we wanted to see how it was going, and then you died, and then you got res, and then you died again, and got res again, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the most frustrating pull. But never died in the same manner ever again. Like, that's the thing is, if I die to something, I'm never going to let that shit happen ever again. So.
By the way, I noticed you guys don't use nets. Is there a reason you guys don't use nets on your Vashj?
Yeah, because nets are fucking... Nobody knows how to communicate when they're netting. One of my raids does it, because I've now killed Vashj and KT in 3 of my raids. So 3 of my raids are 10 out of 10. The other one's 8 out of 10, actually. But the thing about Vashj is the nets. Nobody communicates when they're using them. So you net, and then somebody just fucking dies for some reason. Like some melee went in. I don't know why. They just had extra time because their DPS was so high that they were like, oh, I'm gonna go in with Zerker Rage up. And then the bear's like, okay, I'm feral charge bashing. Feral charges in, and then the warrior just gets slapped, and you're like, fuck. So Rain doesn't use nets, but we use Hodges from prop pallies and stuff like that and rotate those. Because the Striders, basically every Strider you'll be able to Hodge once or twice. Depending on which Paladins are free. So we would do that in my Rogues raid. I got everybody to, because there's a lot of mute people in that raid. A lot of people don't talk. So I was like, people would net, and then somebody would die in that manner, right? So I was getting mad after a while because I'm not raid leader there. I used to be. I stepped down and don't want to do that stuff for them. Or I guess as much, I want to avoid doing that as much as possible. I did all that shit for pugs and stuff. It's it's exhausting. So, so for them, I kind of let them make their own mistakes, but that one was getting to me. So I was like, okay, guys, if you're mute, you need to make a fucking macro. You just need something that's you press it, it's going to do raid warning. Everybody gets fucking assist. It gives a raid warning that says you're netting. And so one person just fucking spam that shit. So it's it's when he's going to net. And then for everyone else, I said, okay, you got to do the rule of 3. It's common courtesy, okay? You got to say, I'm going to net, I'm netting, right? And so you have to give us enough warning. Just very common courtesy about netting. So yeah.
Dude, it's actually interesting the amount of casters who don't understand the netting thing, though. The same for Novaring. Mages who Nova and kill their melee, because they don't understand that if you Nova, the mobs are just going to turn around and hit the closest thing to them. Many a fun Shattered Halls. I had fun learning that in Shattered Halls. Most mages do not understand the concept of Novaring and killing your melee.
Yeah, when I was leveling, there was a mage. I was doing AoE leveling when I was doing my was it my Paladin? I think it was my Paladin. Yeah, it was like my paladin and my shaman. I think I tried to get like AoE groups every time. I think it was my shaman actually that this happened. So I was putting together like slave pen groups over and over again that were like basically a priest and all mages, and I was the tremor totem. So it was like 3 mages, a priest, and an Ellie shaman. And so it was actually like really effective, and I would do a decent amount of damage too. But there was a time that we invited a mage, and I like in the middle of a pack, I was like, "Wait, what the fuck is that?" And so like one of them was rooted, and I was like, "Oh no!" Turns out he had frostbite, so he was blizzarding, and they would like get nova'd and stuff. And I was like, I was like, "Why do you have frostbite?" He's like, "Oh, it's really good for leveling." And I'm like, "Bro, it makes the pack like completely desynced. Like if you're running around and you accidentally like nova 2 in the back, and you change where you are, and you nova like the big cluster here, if those 2 are gonna like come or nova like the cluster or like blizzard the cluster on the left, the other 2 that were rooted before are gonna come running straight at you and like fuck up the whole pack." And I'm like, "Holy shit!" And so like he got a few people killed, and the other mages were whispering for me to kick him, and I was like, "Oh no." Oh god, dude, you got to learn what nova does.
Yeah. It sounds like you had an eventful week at the least, though. It's been so busy, man. I tell you what, the extra day cleanups are the ones that take up so much time. Is that you end up doing? I don't know about your raids, but both my raids have been adding like 1 extra day for cleanup here and there. And I guess we'll get into this a little bit when we do the week 1 in review. But how's your PvP been going, by the way? Because that's been the balance for me, is trying to get the PvP in while I'm doing all this PvE content as well.
I have 55 messages from my fives team that I woke up to today. So they literally are asking me over and over to play. They're like, "Can you play fives? Can you play fives?" Oh,
dude, everyone does fives in the first like 1-2 weeks though, because it's such easy points. It's actually so disgusting how good it is. Because I was looking at the points yesterday, because I have a 5-steve on Felina that's I think they're 1880 something. And I looked at the points and wait, holy shit, you guys are getting like, this is 1,000 over points for just 18 something. And then I look at how much I'm getting for 2.1k in 2s. We climbed our 2s up to 2.1k. Like, and I was like, wait, I'm only getting 900 something points. Yeah. I'm like 200 points above you guys in 2s, and I don't even get as many points as like an 1800 team. That's disgusting.
Yep. Yeah, fives are just crazy good. Right, that's why I play like fives on my shaman. I'm playing fives on my paladin now because I want some of the pally stuff this season. Playing holy is like really, really sad. Fucking hate it. It brings me back to what I actually used to play, but God, is it miserable to playing like fucking holy pally, even fives or 2s or 3s or anything. Is like by far the least agency I've ever felt I had in a game. Like I'm like a purely reactive character unless I want to like try and holy shock blow someone up. But
yeah, you know the funny thing is you actually countered some of the annoying double DPS comps as a paladin, except you just lose to everything else. You lose to everything else, but you like as like a rogue mage rogue lock player, I hate running into paladin teams because I gotta do like a good reset and such to get away. But you just, I guess you just lose to everyone else but us.
Yeah, like my my rogue feral team, when we run into paladins, it's just like the paladin is usually really bad, like almost always, and we can at least live a little bit longer because of the way that rogue feral works, where you can reset with heals and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not that bad for us, but it's still really annoying when somebody gets bopped, right?
Yeah.
So
you know, I learned yesterday though that paladins can resist blind. I didn't even know you guys had a talent that did that. Because I ran into paladins so little that I didn't even know like you guys had a talent to resist blind.
Yeah, it's like we can resist incapacitates, I think is what it is. I think it's a 10% one.
Yeah, something like that. Someone was telling me, 10% chance. I think if you get 2 points in the talent, you get like a 10% chance.
Yeah, I think it's fears and incapacitates. Oh, disorients, sorry. Fears and disorients, yes. It's 10%. Yeah, paladins have like, the thing is paladins don't have like crazy resist talents like priests do, where it's like they're literally going to resist like every fucking stun, you know? We don't have any talents like that. We end up with like 10% to resist fear and disorient, like 5% to resist curses and diseases. Most of the time you take at least only 1 point in there. And then you have like 10% for chance to resist stuns, and like 30% chance that your spells don't get dispelled. So it's like you have all these things, but only a little bit. So you have like 10%, 10%, 5% for like different effects. But it's almost never noticeable on a paladin, like, to be completely honest. Because
by the way, did you see Kaga's music video?
No, I did not.
He made a music video. By the way, congrats, Kagas. I know you listen to this from time to time. Congrats. He managed to get Glad because people above him got banned, which we're going to talk about in a second. But
Jesus.
He got his Glad, and he made an entire music video parody about roguelike comps because it is the most frustrating. It's fun, but also the most frustrating comp to play because any RNG and you lose. Any bad RNG, like you get a stun resist or something bad happens, you lose because you have no resets. You're just kind of like all in, and that's the game. But that guy can actually sing, man. That guy's like surprisingly actually not a bad singer. But yeah, okay, guys. So PvP ban wave. Zirene, what have you heard in regards to the PvP ban wave?
I heard that people got banned for a lot of different things. Mostly that they were boosting or win trading. I guess win trading was the big one. A lot of allegations of win trading in the oceanic ladder, as well as NA and EU at the top to get like an Infernal Gladiator push. But I also know some people got titles taken away or didn't get their title because they played with somebody who had gotten banned. Yeah. So that's what I know so far. So
okay.
What do you know?
So yeah, to summarize for people who don't know, what happened in the last week or two is basically everyone that has seemingly any semblance related to any win trading or is on a team with someone else who might have win traded or boosted someone through piloting. And for people that don't know, piloting is where you play their character for them, basically. Or any shenanigans like that, Blizzard just came down with the ban hammer, took away all the titles, rewards, everything, and basically disqualified your team. So there was a list going around of all the people that basically were disappearing from teams. So I do have the screenshots of them. EU got hit massively. So this giant list on the screen right now is everyone. Now, not everyone on this list is necessarily someone that like cheated or got banned or anything. This is just a list of suspected people that might have been hit because they disappeared from the teams after the last updates. But if you can see, the EU list is crazy long. It's literally a lot of the all-stars from private servers. And in fact, so many people got banned on EU that I think the rating required dropped something like 200 points or ish on for the 2's Glad rating because so many people got banned. Basically, what it did is anyone that got piloting, they banned them, and then I heard some people even got the other characters banned as well. The Blizzard came down, and it seems like at least on the EU side of things, it feels like, and this is a guess, but this is what I got talking to a bunch of other PvPers as well, is that it feels like a lot of the private servers came in treating it like private servers where you could do this stuff. You could pilot other people's characters and play for them and sell boosts and things. And you at worst, you get a slap on the wrist or something. But it seems they tried to do this for Blizzard's game and official servers, and now they got hit really hard. A lot of them lost their they're banned for 6 months basically. A lot of them lost characters for 6 months, which 6 months in classic must as well be you could just remake at that point because it'll be quicker for them at that skill level to make a new character and just do arenas for a month or two to get geared up again.
I mean, right now it's like, how long has the game been out even?
I mean 6 months. God, what phase are we? Well, I guess we'll be on like phase 3 by then, probably. Well, I hope so anyway. Be on the phase 3.
Probably.
Yeah. So yeah, the EU list huge, but like even more so. This, for people that don't know, this is the Oceania list on my screen, and I actually had like went down through the count. So what happened in Oceania is literally the entire rank 1 bracket basically got banned. Basically everyone got hit. So you can see here, out of everyone that got Glad or rank 1 in Oceania, I think there was something like 20-ish teams, above 2200-ish that were in that range. I think I counted maybe it's like 6 or 7 teams managed to not get hit, and everyone else got just banhammered. So the entire rank 1 on Oceania got just annihilated. And honestly, there might be some false positives. It wouldn't be surprise me if there are. I have heard reports of some people in Oceania who they literally didn't even play for the last like 2 weeks and they got penalized as well. Maybe just for being associated with it. Because the problem with Oceania has always been that there's not enough people, so it's really easy to win trade or to fix games and such, and it's very hard to prove one way or the other. So at least on Oceania, it seems like Blizzard might have just taken the very liberal stance of, well, if there's a hint that you guys were doing any of this, you're just banhammered.
Well, some people were like, there's not enough players. We're not win trading. We're just literally playing each other for like 2 hours.
Yeah. It's true.
No one else.
That's kind of the problem is that you can see there's literally only 20 teams in Oceania that qualify for Glad and Rank 1. So when there's that few teams, it's just all you do is play the same people over and over again anyway. So it's one of those things that's very hard.
Yes, one of the people on Twitter was saying he's like prove that I actually.
Oh, I have this here. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like prove that I actually win traded. He's like the pool is so small that.
Yeah, so this is Rook. Yeah. So he was one of the people. The thing is, he didn't even actually play for the last, I believe, week or two because he was actually banned for something else at that time. So he couldn't have gotten the other ban, but he was also penalized. His team lost their ratings and teams. I mean, this didn't just hit Oceania. I know Zayu got hit as well on one of his teams. He doesn't have Infernal Glad because his team, he was with a suspected piloter / person in 2s, and I think that's why he lost his title as well. So anyone that was even just on a team with someone that had the suspected of this got hit as well. So there's a lot of people that got hit basically. But yeah, it's one of those things. I saw some threads complaining about it for the Oceania players as well, because some people are saying, well, this isn't fair, I got hit. But it's one of those things where it's like no one can provide proof one way or the other because it's so hard to prove that someone was win trading in something as small as the Oceania region, where, like we said, you're just playing the same people over and over again. And sometimes the games just end up like that.
Yeah, Blizzard is really heavy-handed with these things because I think they never want to be... they never want their systems like this to be like really taken advantage of by players. Because if like, for example, if you ban somebody who's suspected of like piloting and stuff like that, right? Denying the rewards from the other people on their teams seems really heavy-handed. But at the same time, if there's a situation where somebody got piloted, got you to Infernal Gladiator, and then they don't care that their account got banned because they got to Infernal Gladiator, right? And it's like, that was the whole goal. And then that person's just like, hey, I mean, that's not bad. Got banned and I got Infernal Glad. Like, oh shit, like the mission accomplished. So I feel like they're really of the whole like cheaters never prosper thing, and they're trying to make it so that if somebody is a piloter, booster, seller, all that type of thing, or win trader, they want to make them. They want to make them kind of like the plague, where you don't even want to touch them or play with them, right?
Yeah. It seems like they've gone that route. Yeah, just very heavy-handed to make sure that. Well, I mean, if nothing else, this will make people for this current season be very careful about any shenanigans at the end, because no one wants to get hit by this again. Basically,
exactly. Like you don't want to get hit by it again, and you don't want to associate with anybody who's going to get hit by it. Is a big thing, right? You don't want to, like, if Snow is a win trader and I'm playing with him, but he's not like trading at all in 2s, I'd be very fucking mad at him when I don't get my title because he was doing this shit in 3s, and I'm going to be confused. I'm going to feel betrayed, hurt, and stuff like that. So they're kind of making those people who do that type of thing, one, not get away with it, two, make other people who are legitimate not want to play with those people. So that's I think that's a really big thing, because that's gonna cause extra fallout, right? Extra, like, not only is Blizzard gonna be against it, it's like the whole community of top players are really gonna be against it. Even though you said, like, you know, there was common practice for it to happen on like private servers and stuff, a lot of people are just gonna have to push it away and not play with those people, or not want to play with those people, and those people become a risk to you as well. Even if they're good players, you're like, I don't know if this guy is gonna get fucking greedy and, you know, do piloting or boosting in 3s or something, and then get me snacked for that again. So
I tell you what though, this next season is going to be interesting though, because I know some people that got hit who now have a chip on their shoulder who are going to come back with even harder for that title now. And it's going to make some, especially the EU bracket, because so many big names got hit in the EU bracket. People who, by the way, for a lot of people, some of these private server players like Spank and such, they literally invented the book for a lot of the strategies that people use. So a lot of these guys are going to come back with a vengeance, and the rank 1 slots are going to be very interesting for this coming season. Because I think the thing is that a lot of private servers guys, they'll just reroll. They're okay. They'll get another character. They'll level it up and such. I don't know if the people who came from retail though will level up again, if they'll be keen to do that, because if they got hit with a 6-month ban, they got to start from scratch again. And I don't know if the guys coming from retail will necessarily do that. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's probably the right move from Blizzard, although they might want to, look at it and see if anyone got accidentally false positived. But I don't know if they can necessarily do that. It's kind of hard to prove some of these things. But the thing is, a lot of people got really cocky with the piloting in particular. And I don't know if they understand how easy it is for Blizzard to spot piloting. Because what Blizzard has is not only does your IP suddenly change, is that they can also see the gear you're using for your computer, your like hardware IDs and things. So they can see that, oh wait, this guy's entire computer setup changed while his IP changed as well, and he's using different keybinds and inputs and things like that. It's usually pretty obvious if someone's doing these things. And you can technically spoof your hardware IDs and such, but let's be real, most people doing piloting are not spoofing their customers' hardware IDs and such. So it's very easy to get spotted and just hit by these bans.
Yeah.
But yeah, but good work, NA, by the way. NA had the lowest amount of people banned. Actually, it seems, because I don't know, maybe it's because we have so many streamers and such, but yeah, NA had the lowest amount of people banned. There were definitely people banned, but we had the lowest amount of people banned. Although I do know some people that are actually celebrating some of these teams. They shall remain nameless, because there were some people doing some very sketchy sniping shenanigans at the end of the season, where they would literally walk up to other streamers who were in stealth, like just beeline straight to the other enemy rogue in stealth. Very sketchy goggles. Apparently, they had the non-human goggle advantage apparently. But yeah, so
the stream perception.
Yeah, the stream perception, yeah. But yeah, so 60% or more. Actually, I didn't do the math, but it is a lot of Oceania. Oceania got destroyed. We were making some jokes on stream that there's some guy at 1800 or something who has no idea what's going on, who just defaults glad because everyone above him got banned in Oceania.
Hey man, he's not gonna be complaining about that. It's like, oh hey, look at that.
It's that guy that everyone's been doing the memes. There's this Australian Olympian who I think he won gold in the ice skating because everyone in front of him fell over at the last second, and he just skates past. I think it's like the Stephen Bradbury Award. Yeah, it's like Stephen Bradbury or something was his name, and he was in last place, and then all the front runners fell over each other. Good times. He was actually celebrated. He's famous in Australia now. Everyone loves that guy.
That's actually so funny.
Yeah. But yeah, besides that, ban waves going out on the I guess the Ogrila daily thing. So people that don't know what was happening with the Ogrila flask is that some people were, well, from what I understand is that the NPC kept just giving you free flasks. You could just keep turning in and getting flasks, and if you spammed it just kept giving you more flasks.
Yes.
So yeah, what some people were doing is they were turning in, getting flasks, and putting them on the auction house and selling them. And obviously Blizzard does not like that. So a lot of ban hammers hit. So the same period of time when all the PvPers were getting hit, all the PvEers who were exploiting this got hit as well. So I mean, at this stage, if you guys ever find exploits like this in the game, don't do them, because Blizzard has always punished them. I don't think Blizzard's ever not punished people who exploited like that. Like what was the one that, was it the Sky Shards or what was Spirit Shards?
Spirit Shards, yeah, Spirit Shards
got penalized heavily as well when people exploited that. Yeah, so Blizzard's always come down super, super heavy-handed. But I know this affects you, Zirene, because you play Paladin boosting stuff. What's the deal with the Stratholme ban though?
Um, so a lot of paladins actually got banned last week for Stratholme or Skolo boosting or farming, and people really haven't figured out why. But one of the guys from my chat and also somebody I raid with, Minester, he got his ret paladin got banned, and he wasn't selling boosts; he was farming dark runes. And he got perma banned.
What? Permaban?
Permabanned. No warning, straight up permabanned. And he had to put in a ticket, and raid day came, he wasn't able to play. Second raid day came, he wasn't able to play. Yesterday, so Sunday, the day after, we raid Friday, Saturday. The day after our raids, he's actually unbanned now. And some people in that Reddit thread about getting banned as a pally are actually getting unbanned. So something happened where Blizzard had a almost automatic trigger for banning people, and people haven't figured out what it is. Some people were saying it was like speedy auto loot. Some people were saying it was like the way people were doing boosts, or one person speculated that there was purchased gold that people that were giving those paladins because they were boosting them, right? So like I bought gold and I'm like, Snow me, boost me. You boost me, I trade you the bot gold and stuff like that. You don't know it's bot or anything, but that didn't hold up for like Minester, because he wasn't boosting anybody. He was literally just farming dark runes. So a lot of paladins got banned last week. They're getting unbanned slowly, but it seems like something really fucked up. It made us have to raid with 2 paladins this week. It was really weird. So yeah, a lot of people got fucking banned, and I hope that that they're unbanning a lot of people, not just the people that are like saying those things, but the Paladin Discord, which apparently is called Light Club. They apparently had a lot of people get banned too, so it's been a big thing in the Paladin Discord recently. No clue what's causing it though. No clue.
Weird. Yeah, I didn't know he got like the perma ban. That's
yeah,
weird.
It was perma, which means to me they thought he was like a bot.
Yeah, something flagged him. Yeah, like some sort of automated flagging.
Yeah, which I'm like, really? Like, hold on. I'm like, real bots don't even get flagged as real bots. Like, what the fuck could he have possibly been doing that made it go, yep, that's a bot right there, and then they ban him? Like, it had to have been some add-on, because there's no way he had any bot-like behavior that would have been picked up. Like, running the same path exactly or some shit, or like the way he turns or the inputs. So it has to be some sort of like common thing between all the paladins. They were using some add-on of some kind that, fucked something up. So no clue what it is.
That's actually terrifying, because most people that have a paladin out literally have it just for doing AoE stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, I've been running out of gold because I stopped fucking... I stopped one, you saw how long my raids were going. 2, I stopped boosting and stopped doing strat stuff because I heard about this, and I was like, yep, I'm not touching that shit at all. Like, it not only was it a ban, it was a fucking perma ban for him, which was insane that you get perma banned. Which, like I said, doesn't mean that he was doing something like,
did he get
bad or whatever. It
anything
means he's
from
terrible.
Blizzard? Like, did they send him a message or anything? He just like one day he realized, oh wait, I'm getting unbanned.
Oh wait, in terms of like he's getting unbanned,
Yeah.
I actually don't know. But he was like trying to ping them a bunch, kind of thing, right? So he was sending them a lot of tickets.
Oh god, he's gonna get the thing. I've heard from people who are sending a lot of tickets where they're like, if you keep sending in tickets, we're gonna ban you even more.
Yeah. Yep. No, 100%. They're like, this is being closed. Like, any further tickets will be ignored, right? It's like, stop harassing us.
Yeah, I mean, the scary thing about these things happening is that, again, Blizzard doesn't have the best communication. So when these things happen, it's a bit scary because you don't know. You don't even know if Blizzard's gonna respond and save you from the automated ticket system. I have heard though. So this is what I've heard, and I've heard from people who accidentally have gotten bans and such in the past, is that if you go to Blizzard's website at a particular time during work hours, you can actually access the live chat. And at certain hours, the live chat is actually manned by a real human person. So if you actually go through the website at the correct hours, you can talk to a live person, and that's the way to get stuff resolved where you actually want to talk to someone. Because otherwise, you just get the automated bot replies, which don't get you anywhere. But yeah, apparently you can talk to a real person. You just have to find a very niche link on the website at the correct hours.
And actually talk to it's hard though. Like they don't have like a ton of support, but if they do, it's usually not in the US from what I've noticed. It's usually a European GM. Yeah. I was also told that GMs can't unban you if you were banned by if you're banned for like some type of hack, the hacks team has to unban you. So GMs are like told specifically not to unban people who were banned by a different discipline.
Huh. Interesting.
So yeah, they like don't have that power. I talked to my friend at Blizzard, and the conversation went a really interesting way. Because I was like, "Hey, have you heard about this thing with the Paladins?" And they were like, "Yeah," and I'm sure they know about it in like player behavior and stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, we're considering there's a huge Reddit thread. I strongly suggest that Blizzard and the hacks team are already aware of it." And I said, "Well, I hope they are." And then he said, "I hate it, but they should just rip the Band-Aid off and officially sell level 70 boosts and the WoW token. It's clearly what players want, even if they'll never admit it." And I was like, I just replied with fucking Monka and Monka W, dude. like, holy shit. I hate it, but they should just rip the Band-Aid off and officially sell level 70 boosts and the WoW token. It's clearly what players want, even if they'll never admit it. And I was like, fuck, are you serious? Like, is that where this conversation's going? I was like, damn, I just don't think, like, even if level 70 boosts are like something that people would want, because the game keeps progressing, right? Having to do leveling up, having to do like attunements and shit like that. Like the fact that Kara attunement's gone is like a big thing for new people, right?
Yeah, I got a screenshot up for people. Yeah, no Kara attunements. So for people that don't know, you can actually enter. You need someone else to open the gate for you, from what I understand. But you can just walk in now into Kara. You don't need to do attunement.
You can just go straight in. So don't need to finish it, anything like that. It's actually so funny. Or you die outside, right? And then you can walk in.
I was watching you do the run back after going and buying more potions yesterday, by the way, and trying to get back while the horde were chain killing you outside. And you had to do the old Blackrock Mountain res and get like 10 feet further.
Yeah, I think I died one time, right? Yeah, I only died one time. I died that one time where I interrupted the frostbolt and then I grounded and then like made it a bit. And then I res the next time and I barely made it in because I had like 500 HP.
Yeah.
Or like 400 HP, which is why you wear your gladiator gear when you're trying to go back into an instance. Even if you aren't spec for PvP, just fucking get the turtle shell on and get ready to get back in.
I mean, a lot of guilds are actually running into rusted issues and things right now with the whole week 1, week 2 SSC TK stuff, because it's actually testing guilds now. It's actually
it's also
testing guilds.
Yeah, and if people quit, you need somebody who is attuned.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you know, because you were watching. I don't know if you had sound on when you were watching me. But like the time that I went and drowned my character while waiting.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
Yeah.
Good times.
And I played some music during that. But no DMCA. I did that because I was told that one person left or had to leave, right? One of our arms warrior had to leave. So we brought in another hunter, but he wasn't attuned, but he had the items on him. So the 2 hunters went on a mission to go turn in heroic slave pen's attunement. And then one of them died. And I was just like, this is going to take for fucking ever. Like everybody's fucking, this is after we had the break, by the way, that was like the repair break, right?
Yeah.
After the repair break, we waited for the guy to get in and then realize he wasn't attuned and then have to go hand those in. So that was like another half hour. It's just is miserable. It was fucking miserable.
I tell you what, though, the thing I've really noticed, because I raid on a couple tunes, is that The guild that did not utilize their second and third raid days are now having a lot of issues on the second and third raid days because people have gotten used to phase one where they clear everything in one night and they've stopped scheduling in like raid time for the second and third days. So when the second and third raid days comes along, you run into roster issues with people who just can't turn up. And if you don't have a good bench, is that you literally run into issue where people are just pugging 5 spots just for their raid. A lot of teams are just pugging 5 spots because they don't know what to do for second and third raid.
Yeah, that's one of the fears that my rogues raid had was they were like when we were doing Karazhan, they actually never put Karazhan and Gruul on the same day. They were like, Friday we're doing Karazhans, Saturday is Gruul Magtheridon. And when we could do them both in one day, the GM was like, no, we're never doing them both in the same day because you motherfuckers are going to start scheduling shit on Saturdays when new content comes out. And it's like, he's like, we're going to use both raid days, whether we're like going to use both raid days for SSCTK. And if you guys clear SSCTK, we can actually go to Gruul afterwards. So it was like Saturday, Friday, you do a bunch of progression. Saturday, you finish it up. And if you actually like clear everything, you get to go roll for a DST, basically, right? Is the reward, I guess. But yeah, so I completely agree that like if you get people in the habit of having one raid day, you're going to have a big problem. I think the same thing happened to guilds in Nax, where people went in kind of expecting to be able to clear it all at one time. And then, yeah, Nax back in the day, I was actually having this conversation with people in Rain where it was like, because we were clearing everything in one day in one raid, right? Like, we were one of the top guilds in the world in terms of like clearing first. Yeah. And then our second raid was like, we don't have a second raid day. We literally have always cleared things in one day for our like even Nax in both raids, right? You'd never come back and finish shit up. It was just like, you just stay there, you finish the raids. You don't want to come back here and do 2 days of raiding on the same character. So we would, yesterday was a big thing where it was like, either we're killing Vashj then, or we're not killing her this week because we're not coming back, right? In raid 2. So that was, I think, kind of a big thing for people and why it took us so long.
Yeah, when you guys kept going, we were having commentary when we were watching for 3 hours. We were thinking, man, at what point do they call it? Because when you guys went backwards and you wiped in phase 2, a lot of us were saying, I wonder if they call it now because the raid seems to be going backwards now.
Yeah. I think Rain has no disillusionment when it comes to if somebody dies early on Vashj, just wipe it because it's a waste of time, right? Like they're like you're barely making the DPS check in phase 2 with your ults. If you lose like even a healer in phase 1 to like a multi-shot, it's just wipe it, make that person wear more stamina the next time, and then just go, right? And it's like we were forcing some wipes. It was my friend last night said something that stuck with me. It's I think it's the new Rain motto. It's born to shit, forced to wipe. Because we get told we have to wipe all the fucking time. It reminded me of when we were doing like speed mag and speed Gruul, where it was like, if you don't make the DPS check or you aren't even on like course, you're forced to wipe. The GM just says wipe it out. You're done. Like we gotta get back and go again.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, a lot of guilds haven't even beaten Vashj. I was looking at the stats. Someone was telling me the stat was like only 3.5% of like pulls have been successful with Vashj, and everything else has just been people wiping and such.
Yeah, 2.7 was what I saw after first week. It was like 5% Kael'Thas, 2.7% Vashj. But the thing is that Vashj wasn't like a fight that had bugs in it. So like people were fighting. Well, it had some bugs. They were beating Kael'Thas, even though Kael'Thas was like, had all these bugs to him. So
yeah. Oh man, the bugs in the week 1. But yeah, it's getting a little bit better now. I'm looking at the thing. Yesterday I looked at this and the horde were maybe like half or like a day or two ago. But it seems like on Fairlina at least, there's 20 horde guilds that are 10 out of 10 and 12 alliance guilds that are 10 out of 10. But I've noticed a lot of guilds getting stuck on the Morogrim Vashj area is where everyone seems to get stuck on. And if they beat Morgrim, the problem again comes down to a lot of guilds just don't have an extended second raid day or third raid day and such. So they do really well for one clear or one day, and then they kind of stuck. They get into that second day, and what happens is like what happens to one of my raid teams is that they get down the second day and they try to pug spots, but pugs are the most unreliable people ever. We literally had like some pug healers who joined for 40 minutes and say, "Oh man, I gotta go, sorry," and they just like peace out. Nothing. They just peace out, and it's like, why would you join a raid for 40 minutes? What are you doing?
I was like, you're saved now. What the fuck, bro? Like, it's interesting. It says there's 12 guilds that have cleared it, but I actually don't know if that means 12 raid teams, right? Because, for example, in Rain, we have 2 raids that clear 10 out of 10, right? And in Lucid, which is number 5, we have 2 raids in Lucid that actually clear 10 out of 10 now.
Yeah. I'm looking at this. I mean, Vampire Club has 2 as well. So a lot of these are just repeats. Yeah.
Yeah. Vampire Clan and Vampire Club, like, you know, two different like raids, right? Like Crusade raid 1, Crusade. Like at the very top, it's Crusade. Then the number 9 is Crusade 1B.
Yeah.
Then you go down, and then there's Crusade raid 2. They list under different names, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Rain, because like you see, there's only 12 guilds on Fairlina, with like Natural Causes being the last one that clear 10 out of 10. But Rain has 2 raid teams that do it, and Lucid have 2 raid teams that do it. But they all go under Lucid and Rain banner. So there's more raid teams than just 12 on Alliance side that clear, because we log under the same name, right? So all Lucid, but if you click Lucid, you'll see it's like one raid team that doesn't involve my rogue or anything like that is the one that cleared first, and then the raid team that involves my rogue, which is completely different. That's why like it'll say like, you know, Friday, Saturday with JoJo, Tuesday, Thursday with FaZe, completely different raid teams. Like we never talk to each other. We're just both under the same guild. Yeah,
that's what I'm noticing with like a lot of the raid teams as well, is that because I know in solo queue the streamer-ish guild on Felina on the Horde side is that I believe raid team 1 is done. They had to merge with raid team 3 because they lost too many people. But what I've noticed is that, man, a lot of the guilds that started up on Felina as just like TBC guilds, they are the ones that a lot of them are struggling because they don't have a good officer crew and things in place. They just kind of like hobble together a really good amount of players at the start, but they're not really prepared for what happens once a lot of the players start quitting, and they don't have contingencies in place to make sure that they're constantly recruiting and things like that. So that's what I've noticed with the less prepared guilds. Because
it's actually interesting because every Alliance guild is pretty much a guild from Classic. Rain, Crusade, Lucid, Vampire Clan, Suop, Vampire Club, Power, Crusade, Atlas, Casually Competent, Natural Causes. Casually Competent, a little bit like from Classic. Natural Causes is like a not a spin-off guild, but like, you know, they're a guild that has relations to I think it's Atlas. Yeah, I think it is. But Propane is like the only guild on this list that's like a completely new guild from just TBC. Like I don't know them from Classic. So like out of the top 12 guilds, 11 of them are ones that I recognize from Classic. So it feels like the Alliance side didn't really get any new top leadership, right? Or if they did, they just joined Alliance guilds. Whereas the Horde side is like completely fucking new. Like Juice, Dogs, Hero, Aggression, Mutants are like ones that I recognize. Hoagie, right? But then it's like, who the fuck is like Ocontrato, Air Fried, who cares showed up, Sup Fresh Our Turn Baby, like the Gladiator guys. Those are like all new. Phoenix God, right? Chalked. These are like all guilds that like popped up in TBC that I just don't remember being in Classic. So there's only like a handful of the top guilds on Horde that I'm like, oh yeah, those are Classic boys, you know? So especially say near the top too, right? Like the top out of the top 5 guilds, 3 of those are new. Like Air Fried, Who Cares, Sup Fresh. Juice and Dogs are the only two that I think from those top 5 are actually from Classic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what I've seen is that it's a lot of it is the guilds that came in with people who actively play a lot of Classic and who are ready. Because I've raided with I think I raided once or twice with Snuts on PTR and such. That guy is a pretty good officer guy. He does the job of directing people and all this other stuff. But a lot of the guilds that when they had streamers start them and the streamers didn't necessarily want to do officer type roles, those are the ones that kind of collapse because they just have this vacuum when no one wants to take up the officer role, basically.
Yeah.
Even in my Felina guild now, I was thinking the other night because we did a TK where it was like, again, we ran into issue where we don't have that crew that turns up for the second day, so we tried to do a TK and only like 70% of the people came. We filled it with pugs, and I was thinking, man, do I have to step into an officer role to try to sort out the admin issues, to get a bench rolling and all this? Because I really want my warglaves, but I also really don't want to do any officer work. Like, I really don't want to do that.
I feel like those things go together. Yeah, like I had a guy come by my chat who was like, he was really sad because his guild had fallen apart and they had been together for a while, and he was the rogue that was going to get warglaves, and he was like, now it feels like I don't even know if I should keep playing. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, because I was like, I was going to get warglaves. It's impossible to find a rogue spot on my server, and if I even find a rogue spot on my server, then I'm probably not getting warglaves. It'll go to somebody who's a longer standing member. And he was like, do I transfer servers to like a more populated server? I'm like, well, if you're looking for like a spot in a raid, then maybe, but you're still gonna have the same problem of you're probably last prio for warglaves if you're a new member. And I was like, so you kind of have to just bite the bullet at that point. You either make your own, or you be really good in playing another guild and then just impress them, or wait for join a raid that is going to have a lot of people leave and to be the only person who stays, and keep it together. You got to be the glue that keeps it together in desperation for the warglaves. But in all honesty, being a rogue right now and your raid's falling apart, you probably should do something to step up. Like, because
you're not getting another spot. It's really hard. I was talking to, because people know my chat is mostly rogues on my stream, and I was talking to some people that were talking about, hey man, yeah, can I come to like Felina or wipe me one of the more popular servers and get a rogue spot? I'm like, maybe a rogue spot, definitely not warglaves though. And I had to explain to them, in the guilds that I'm in, the ones that I am up for like warglaves prior there, is there's 2 rogues in one guild, and one of them is literally raid leading / officer crew, and there's me who's I've literally been in that guild since Classic, like phase 1, and I've never missed a single raid, like 100% attendance. And these are the people you're going to be competing against because the rogue slot is so contested that the people that they do have are either like people who have been there 100% attendance, or they are people who are keeping the guild running, basically. And that's so it's super hard to find any rogue spots, much less a rogue spot with a warglaze prior.
Yeah, you gotta be a good player as a rogue right now, like in PvE, if you want to get rewarded.
Oh god, don't say that, Zirene. Man, I had to ban some guy in the YouTube comments the other day because he got angry that I said rogues have to perform to keep the spot right now. Because he did not like that. Apparently, he did not like me saying that because apparently it's making it harder on the not good rogues. But honestly, I think, yeah, you have to perform if you want your rogue spot, man. Like, we're already in a state where people don't really want rogues. So if you're not performing, it even brings up even more questions of why are they bringing you if you're not performing. Because like I said, a lot of these fights like Vashj and Morgrim are only made harder if you bring a rogue. All the times they're only made harder if you bring a rogue over another DPS. So you have to justify, like, why are they bringing you there and making the raid harder on themselves if you're not performing?
Yeah. I will say though that like Kael'Thas is my favorite fight on my rogue. Like people ask me like, what's my favorite fight for like, I prop Paladin. I'm like, oh yeah, obviously like Morgrim, right? Because I enjoy that fight and I'm like decently good at it. And then when it's like, what's your favorite fight on your rogue? It's definitely Kael'Thas now. It is 100% Kael'Thas. Because there's so many like utility things I get to do on Kael'Thas that like it's one of the times where I don't have to worry about proving myself on the damage meter, because all I have to do is everything that's like even close to utility. It just ends up being awesome, right? It's like you do the shivs on Thaladred, you do the shivs on fucking on Capernian afterwards. The chick, like you do all the mind controls, you do the kicks. Like it's actually like a really fun fight for me. But
Yeah, I actually really like the Allah fight actually. Like you, I like fights where as a melee you get to do a lot of interesting things. So people who don't know, Allah is probably one of the ones where you can do a lot of interesting shenanigans. Like for people who don't know, for rogues in phase 1 of Allah, you can literally time your cloak so that if Allah does the AoE fire thing, you cloak 2 rounds of it if you time your cloak at the right time, so you don't take any damage when he does the fire AoE. Then for you can actually have boots. By the way, you can, if you want to increase your uptime, you can wear some speed goblin boots and rocket your way to the next spot that Allah goes to. You do have to use evasion, and you can cloak. Also, you can cloak the bomb in the second phase. If you look up and you count to 3, once the bomb appears, you can cloak, and you will every time you will cloak it. If you count to 3 before you use your cloak, and there's a lot of things like that. It's really fun.
You hear that's based on GUID?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, apparently, well, we're back to phase 1 Ragnaros again, where people are checking the GUIDs.
Yeah, it's true. It's the GUIDs. You can find out who the meteor in Alar is going to target, because it targets the newest character in the raid. So on Alliance side, your shamans just get gibbed if you guys spread out. On Horde side, you could actually just have a paladin stand out, and he'll probably be the person who's targeted, and he can just bubble. We actually had a paladin get targeted in one of our raids. It was a rep paladin got targeted. He bubbled right as it was flying at him, because it was like something where we had lost so many people in one of my raids. We were like, okay, let's just spread out and just have one person die each time instead of lose every healer. And it went after a paladin, and he bubbled, and it was fucking clutch. And then the next time we spread out, it went after him again, and he died. But it was like, people were like, oh, I guess it's true. Like, it will target the same person every single time if that person remains alive.
I wonder if they're going to nerf that, though, because they did that with Ragnaros. Once people realized that it was GUID on Ragnaros, I remember Blizzard changed that. They changed that, yeah. So I wonder if they're going to do that with Allah as well. Just do a little stealth change.
Yeah. They probably will once people figure that stuff out. Oh, yeah. This was actually something that I wanted to share with you, because this is my rogue on like the KT fight. It's like one of my favorite parts of the fight is when like, because I think what I do on the fight is I shiv Thaladred 5 times, expose him, and then I go and blow my cooldowns with on like the 2 guys who were stacked, Blade Flurry and like Adrenaline Rush. And after that, it's something I think a lot of rogues should actually do, is you go shiv Capernian. Now, like, a lot of people don't like doing that and feel like it's like risky, but there's not too much risk to it if you do it correctly, right? And this is where like you need to actually apply the debuff, right? And using sprint and stuff, you can just keep avoiding it, right?
That's actually interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my Capernian, my guild doesn't like me going anywhere near. Has been practicing my teabag macro in the background while the casters do their thing.
Yep. And you just avoid the arcane explosion every time by going in and out. It's very, very easy, right? Yeah. Well, you know, be careful while she's doing it, casting AE. Why are you shiving? Because your offhand, you keep the dagger in your offhand. You can move it to your main hand here and then like backstab instead if you wanted to. But the shiv is costing a little bit less energy, and you know, being able to shiv multiple times just to apply it faster is kind of what I want to do. So,
yeah, that's neat.
Speaking
of rogues, did you see goddamn Adam Chan first raid got his stupid KT mace already? And so it's always like it's always the people's outs. It's always an out that gets the best loot luck. Like first raid, KT mace. He's got his belt of deep shadow already.
They didn't give it to like they didn't give it to a shaman.
No. He apparently got prio. That's what I was told. I don't know if he was lying to me, because he's also a filthy FAP user in duels as well. So I don't know if his word can be trusted. But he first raid, he got his KT mace already. He
Jesus.
came over to show me yesterday when we were doing arena.
Well. Oh my god.
Yeah, but yeah, so
Yeah.
good. Week 1 in review, man. It's been interesting. I'm really curious to see what guilds fold and what guilds can keep up, because the danger right now is that if you fall behind in progression, people start looking for new spots. Now, if you're a rogue or melee who doesn't have an option, you're stuck. You're staying with your guild. But if you're a shaman, for example, people want you. Like, I don't know if guilds ever stop recruiting shamans, because shamans are just so OP. And you're gonna get poached by the guilds that actually do clear. And that's why one of the reasons I was thinking, man, do I have to step into like a leadership role on my other rogue? Because I don't want to fall behind on progression. Because I know once you fall behind, you can't recruit, and then you can't replace people, and then it's like the never-ending cycle of doom. You just can't replace the people, you start performing even worse, and then people start leaving for the guilds that are actually clearing, and then you get screwed, is what happens. So I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of guilds though starting to swap rosters, like I kind of predicted, is that they started benching people that are underperforming. They started swapping in more casters where they need, because they're realizing, I think going into phase 2, a lot of people got lulled into a very calm state with phase 1 and how easy it was. And they kind of forgot that, phase 2, Vashj and Morgrim and Katie actually take mechanics and doing things properly now. We did find, though, in one of my guilds that we ran into the issue of people kind of forgot that they need to be consuming every pool and such, or that people have gotten really slack.
They forgot.
Yeah, they forgot, apparently. But yeah,
we forgot to consume.
We after the first KT pool, we looked at it and think, man, like, why was our DPS so good at the start? Our first pool was like the best one, and then later people were looking at it and wait, like a third of the raid isn't consuming. You guys, it's like literally just one flask you guys need, and you guys are too cheap to like pop another flask later. But people are getting slack, man. People are getting slack after phase 1.
3, almost 4 yesterday on a single character, so that was a bad time.
Like Fearblade's saying, man, some of the fights are really fun though. As a rogue, you do the AOE on Fathom Lord, and then proceed to die shortly after, like he says. Because your vanish isn't working or something, and you pull threat. Which, by the way, I'm not sure if that's fixed yet. I don't think that's fixed yet. I think you still...
The Blade Flurry?
Yeah, the Blade Flurry not resetting your threat. I have heard, though, that if you change target and vanish, it works.
I feel like if you come out too fast is what happens, right? Like, I feel like if you break your vanish too quickly, it doesn't actually wipe the threat. I don't know. That's what it feels like, though. Because if I stay in vanish for any amount of time and then a reopen, like, my threat never is an issue. But it feels like if I do vanish and like immediately break it with an auto attack or an opener or something like that, it just doesn't wipe it. I don't know. But maybe the Blade Flurry threat is still a problem too. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of problems though, all the threat reset and shenanigans that are happening in week 1, man. I mean, it's fixed now, but did you see the Kara stuff? Like, Kara was just broken.
The chest?
Yeah. Like, for people that don't know, literally, Karazhan just broke. I don't know what happened with... It was that patch... There was one patch that seemed to just break everything, and everything seemed to start breaking. But Karazhan was broken, so I'm showing people now that people couldn't use mob abilities in chess events, so literally they were like playing auto battle, trying to just position their mobs to the right spots and RNG and hope that the king came to the correct spot. That was the only way to beat chess event on Karazhan. On top of the other threat issues and other things that were going on. So supposedly Blizzard says it's fixed now. I heard KT is a lot easier now that he's not resetting threat in phase 3. I have heard it's a lot easier. But yeah, there were guilds that were literally doing Vashj, and you almost get Vashj dead, and then suddenly Vashj is back at 50% because evade bug.
75%?
So
100%? Oh boy.
It's rough times, man. It's rough times on the evade bug, but at least they fixed it. From what I've heard, they fixed it. But this goes
the evade bug?
I think so, but I don't know if it's completely fixed because they.
I mean, we literally had it happen yesterday. On
really?
Yeah, it happened in phase 1 when she evaded out or bugged out, and then she got back to full HP, and we were like, "What the fuck?" But it was during phase 1, so we were like, we just got her back down to 70% again.
Yeah, so they said they fixed it, and then the Kael'Thas in the chat has been saying that, oh yeah, they've been they've been fixing it, and supposedly it's a lot of things are fixed now with the threat wipes. Although I guess Vashj is still evade bugging and such, but those, man, it feels like the same old issues. That do they just not have a big enough dev team that they can't? They just run into these issues. Are these things not being tested properly? I don't understand what's going on, that they launched phase 2 and it's such a buggy mess.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but somebody mentioned they fixed the horse animations. Yeah, they did. They fixed horse animations. They fixed like a lot of small things here and there. But the KT threat wipe was well known since the very first week, right?
Yeah.
Of PTR. So they were saying that it was a hard bug for them to nail down what was causing it. And it did seem like it was a hard bug for the community to nail down too. People were like, "Oh, it's the staff," and it's like, no, it's not. There's no way to prove this. And like, I have attempts where like people without staves got MC'd. People are like, "Oh, it's Pally righteous defense taunting." I'm like, there's times where people with no staff and not a Pally got MC'd, and the threat drop still happened. It seemed like completely random, and it wasn't like an aura respam. None of that shit. There was a bunch of false positives of people being like, "This is what causes it." Then there's like no way to actually have it be consistent or proven across like multiple raids or clips or anything like that. Only like anecdotal evidence of what did it or what worked for them, or what poll they tried something and the threat didn't drop that time, instead of, you know, they maybe just got lucky.
Yeah,
but I saw you keep pulling up the damage, the stats for SSCTK.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we can talk about that. God, the poor rogue's still down here, but warriors though, Fury warriors up there in the damage.
Yep. It's a little different than what I thought. I thought number 1 would be Arcane Mage. Like I think I said Arcane Mage, Warlock, Warrior, Hunter in that order, the top 4. But I guess Warlocks are a little bit better than the Arcane Mages now. So that was a surprising thing to me. Because just the amount of damage I see Arcane Mages doing and Warlocks not even being close to them is actually impressive. So is this is full clear, or is this all bosses? This is just bosses,
this is just
right?
bosses. This is just bosses.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a little bit more sense because the
it's
duration of a lot of bosses is pretty long. What about, there's no full clear, is there?
I'm not sure if there's a full clear.
I don't think there is, right?
I think that is for stats. Damage to bosses, damage? So this just says damage, but the standing says still the same.
All bosses,
mostly. Yeah, I think it's just bosses.
It just says bosses. It just says all bosses at the top. So yep. But it's kind of what I expected. Right, with those 4 being the top 4, and Hunters being the lowest of those 4. Actually, like surprisingly, it's surprising for some people, but like I don't find it that surprising. I'm just surprised that Arcane Mages aren't higher, but I guess it's because of the duration of fights and going and like that type of thing. So yeah. Wait, if you go to max,
max is Mage Arcane. Yeah, so when the mages, Arcane Mages do well, they do well.
Gotcha. Okay, so Arcane Mages are still like peak in comparison. So this is the order that I thought things would be in: is Mage, Warlock, Warrior, Hunter. Okay.
The rogue actually catches up a little bit. You sorted my max. I like this list better. Let's go by max. Let's go by max instead. Just don't be an assassination rogue apparently down here at the bottom.
Dude, everybody keeps telling me. Everybody's like, every time I mention daggers, people are like, "Oh, you could be a dagger rogue. Be daggers." And I'm like, no. Like, there's too many things around combo point generation right now and exposed armor. They're like, just go mutilate for extra combo points. I'm like, that's
even worse. It's even worse if you go mutilate.
I was like, that is so bad. Yeah, you have no idea. Like rogue catching up, copium.
For people that don't understand, is that like right now, if you don't do exposed armor, and let's say you're like my other rogue who's gonna actually test combat daggers this coming week. Because he doesn't have to expose. We have a 2 rogue raid team there. So he doesn't have to expose. So I'm going to test combat daggers. It should technically be fairly even because my other rogue doesn't have a good main hand sword yet. So just because of that, and I have a really good dagger now, I can kind of close the gap a little bit as long as I'm not exposed armoring. But the problem is that most rogues have to expose armor. And then if you go mutilate to sort out the problem, like, oh wait, now I have to expose armor as daggers, you go mutilate, you just end up trading your ability to expose armor for losing like 5% of your damage or something. So it's just like the trade is just not worth for the combo points that you get from playing mutilate, unfortunately. So yeah, there's a reason why both other rogue specs are down here at the bottom.
But rogues are getting a little better.
It's true. We're getting a little bit better piece by piece. We're getting a little bit better.
We're better than elemental shamans and enhancement shamans now. Pog.
Yeah, as long as we use the max list. Let's forget about this list.
Yeah.
Let's use this list.
Don't do it by normal score.
Yeah.
Just the best rogues. Best rogues.
Although I have found like a lot of the bosses are very exposed armorable. I haven't really found any difficulties. There's some stuff where you just have to adjust, like Leo and such. But once you adjust to it, it's actually not that hard. You get used to it.
I find Alar and Solarian really annoying to apply and keep exposed on. And it's the same thing with Kael'Thas, because on Alar, like he keeps going up in the air and it's a window instead of a flat timer.
Yeah.
But when he goes up in the air, I'm just like, do I keep my combo points? Do I expose him before he goes up? Am I like, is expose about to fall off? I have 5 points on him and he's about to go up in the air. It's like the last 4 seconds of him before he goes up in the air, he doesn't have expose on. Or do I refresh it, have him go up in the air, regen all my energy to 100, overtick? He has no combo points on him because I just exposed. He comes back down and like half the exposed is already gone. So I have to use my next 5 combo points towards just re-exposing and like being like, or do I slice and dice and then get 5 more combo points to re-expose, but then my expose will have fallen off. Like there's a lot of like gaps that are really hard for me to cover on Alar that I haven't figured out yet. Because it seems hard for me to keep slice and dice and expose on the boss at all times with the gaps in
gaps. Yeah, and
uptime.
I mean, there's kind of like RNG there as well, because sometimes Allah's going to go completely across the room, and sometimes Allah's going to go like one across and such. It's kind of like RNG. I was trying to see the RNG there to see what the percentage chances are, but no one really knows yet what the RNG is.
All I know is he can't go across the room in like the first 2 moves.
Yeah. It seems to be a time thing. Yeah, like the longer the fight goes. Yeah.
We pop ranged heroes there. We basically just give all of our ranged heroism for like the entirety of that and try to just 2-move it. At least in like Raid 1, we 2-move it, where we just pop heroisms and rotate them into the like the Warlock group, right? And they just keep pumping the boss as much as possible because there's no threat for ranged on that fight until phase 2. So it's like there they just go as hard as they want to. And they can pop Destro pots and shit.
But yeah,
so, it's
we didn't even mention the stuff with the stuff not dropping off the buses. By the way, literally stuff not dropping off the buses. So for people that don't know how this was found, is that people were getting suspicious. I heard rumors early on. People were like, yeah, guys, we're just not getting this item. And of course, you just think it's just RNG, guys. You just got bad RNG. But then we started looking into it. It's one of those conspiracy theories at first. Kind of like there's a popular YouTuber who did the video on why McDonald's ice cream machines are always broken. And then you hear conspiracy theories about it and you think, okay, this has to be fake. There's no way like there's actually some conspiracy here. But with the items dropping, first someone mentioned it, like, wait, no one's talked about Talon after the first week. And usually in every Discord, if someone gets the Talon, you know there's going to be posts from rogues that are like, I got it, guys, we did it. We got the week 1 Talon.
Yep.
But then we started searching and we found, wait, no one's posted anything about a Talon in any of the rogue Discords. No one's gotten a drop. Then we started searching into the IDs on Warcraft logs, right? So we went to the Warcraft logs and we searched for any log that had a Talon in it. And 0 logs showed up. So, and at that point, the statistical chance that this would happen is just insane. There's no way that not a single raid in any Warcraft log had a Talon drop in week 1. So that's how people figured out, is that the mages, I think the mages were on the ball first. Because they really want the arcane mage trinket of Morrigan. And so at first it was just Morrigan. That's all we know, though. We don't actually know what else wasn't broken. But we know at least that or what else was broken. We know at least the Trinket of Morgrim wasn't dropping, and the Talon of Morgrim wasn't dropping. We know those two items just didn't exist in week 1. And at some point, I guess Blizzard fixed it after the reset.
Yeah, I saw somebody who had it immediately after the reset. Some fucking orc that was getting boosted in 2s by like rogue mage is usually very easy for feral druid rogue.
Yeah.
But there was clearly this guy who was boosting this other rogue, and we ran into this mage. We're playing in the middle of the night, and we could not beat him. And this is where my partner is going, like, we should probably just call it for the night. We're only running into the same guys. And I'm like, no, fucking queue again. Like, I'm like, no, this is good practice. These guys are good, or at least that guy is good. We're just going to try to beat him. And so we lost like 200 points to this one team. His name was Sad. That's all I remember, is he was in my nightmare. And then the next day we queue again. We're queuing into a bunch of different teams. No problem. All that shit. And then the doors open up, and my Gladdy has one person pop up, not two, one person, because the other one is in stealth. And it says fucking Sad. As soon as my partner and I see that, we're like, oh, fuck, goddamn it. How the fuck did he find us this time? So we look for the rogue. We find the rogue, and the rogue's not the same rogue. It's a different rogue. The guy like got done with giving the other rogue his fucking 1850 or some shit. And now this guy's getting boosted. Like, Sad fucking, he had his next fucking customer, dude. And I was like, no, god damn it. The guy made a new team to farm us again. Like, are you kidding me, dude? It was actually insane. This mage was actually really fucking good.
Dude, really good mages. Easy boost for them is to find like a rogue who can at least do a basic stunlock combo. And if they're really good, they can carry them to 1850 and just make a lot of gold just selling 1850 rating to random rogues, I think.
Yeah. No, this guy, like, he would kill us without casting a single spell. Like, in terms of cast time, he literally just spammed Ice Lance. And he did he did our damage combined. And like, this guy was a really fucking good mage. And I can tell you, like, I was running into people like Grayson, right?
Yeah.
And this guy, like, I could not figure out a way to beat this guy. And my team, like, destroyed Grayson's team, right? It's like, I've played against good mages, and I've won against good mages, and we could not find a way to win against this guy. It was actually fucking disgusting. He's just too good of a player. It was insane.
Too good of a player. I mean, it's funny because there's a joke that mages just run around and spam Ice Lance and Nova, but there's actually a lot of finesse in how they do it, apparently, as well. But like, there's definitely a difference between like a really good mage and
what server was he from? I actually don't remember what server he was from, but I don't think he was from Fairlina. But yeah, his name was Sad, and it was crazy. He's just incredibly good. And he's playing against a feral druid and a rogue, right? And we tried different things. We tried opening on the rogue. We tried like Garrote Vanish on the mage while the druid opens on the mage, so that I don't get opened on by the rogue, but the druid gets like, get a bunch of damage in on the mage and chase him around and force the rogue to come out. It was just, I just could not fucking find a way to beat this guy. We almost beat them one time, but he got away just barely. I think it was Sulfuras. I don't know. The only mage I find on Warcraft logs is one from Sulfuras, but I think it's probably him. Yeah, I think it's him. He doesn't clear SSC or TK at all.
I mean, that's the standard, man. That's the people that PvP a lot. A lot of them, they don't do anything. If they got the trinket already, they're done. If they got the Blackwing Lair trinket, they're good. That's like Moopsy. We've been playing some twos. And he literally does not know what a heroic badge is because he doesn't do PvE. He only PvPs on his 4 mages or whatever.
Yep. This guy has like frost parses in Gruul and Karazhan that he's got 99s, but then his arcane parses are 38 in SSCTK. But this guy's just a disgustingly good PvPer. I don't know who he is, never heard of him before, but he was very, very good. And I was mad because I just wanted to play against him over and over again.
Man, sometimes mages just they do too much damage. I was playing with Reality yesterday, and both me and Reality are basically Biscued. And and reality is a rank 1 Warlock player, and I'm in Biscuit, and we beat this rogue mage team, but after we killed the rogue, I swear his mage does too much damage. I swear, the mage was just like, I'm dead. I'm just gonna sit here and spam like arcane.
The mage will 2v1
over and over, and like at first we were just joking around, and then we were both starting to get low, and like wait, we're gonna take this serious. This mage is gonna 2s1 us. He's just sitting here spamming AOE, and somehow we're dying.
Yep. Like you'll kill someone against a mage, and then the mage will just double both your damage and kill both of you. Like if you. That's the thing is, as a rogue, if you use too many cooldowns to kill whoever the mage's partner is, you lose afterwards. Like you're literally like a useless character against the mage from that point onward if you just used every cooldown.
Oh, unless you full scumbag it and you hide around pillars for like 10 minutes until prep comes back up. Is what I've seen some people do. But yeah, so that was the week in review, guys. It was fun times. Items literally not dropping. You know, I would really like to have seen what items else doesn't exist, because we know about Talon and Trinket because those were the 2 items that classes were really, really looking forward to. But Blizzard didn't exactly tell us what other items went.
But they were dropping on PTR though, is the thing. So people were like, no, they have to exist. They were on PTR. Like Talons were walking around.
That's true. I mean, I have a Talon on PTR, so it seems like all those something happened. I don't know how they broke all this stuff, but something happened when they ported it over. Karzan broke, buses broke, and we still kept the threat stuff. So I don't know. They must have fixed something and broke other things at the same time somehow. Surprisingly, I don't know what they did, but they broke something. Did you see the speedrun requirements, by the way?
No, I did. I think they changed it. It used to require everything, right? It used to require everything, which was so funny for SSC. I was like, this seems like a lot of trash requirements for the first week, and my guild killed everything in SSC, and we did it in an hour and 40 minutes or something. But we literally killed everything in SSC except for 2 trash packs. It was the 2 after Morrogrim. Between Morrogrim and Lurker, the 2 humanoid packs. So we killed like the padding boglord. We killed like the fathom witches. We didn't kill the 2 tide walker packs, but those apparently were required. So we killed everything but those 2. And I was sitting there going like, if we had actually just killed those 2 packs, we would have been number 1 full without trash skip requirements, because it was like everybody was without trash skips. Everybody was like 3 hours, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. Like, so many people did skips in the first week, but turns out if you skipped anything, you don't get on the list. But they updated it, and now the list is a little bit like a little bit more accurate.
Yeah. The question though for you, what are you guys speedrunning TK as well, or are you primarily focusing on SSC?
Right now we're just focused on doing splits and killing bosses.
in efficient timing windows, of course. That is the goal. That's the goal. You don't start that, Zirene. You have to work your way towards that.
Our efficient timing window is 1 day of raiding per raid team. Okay, there's one day of raiding. All right, doesn't matter if it's 10 hours. It's still 1 day. We didn't have to go into day 2.
Oh, you guys can be that guild. You always see these at the start of the phase. Guilds that advertise we have like 8 out of 10 on the first day when most guilds don't have 8 out of 10 yet. And then you look at your logs and you're, wait, you guys raided for 20 hours. I don't know if that's very efficient. You guys spent 20 hours to get 8 out of 10.
Yep.
But yeah, so when do you guys plan to do speedruns though? Because that's the thing is speedrunning in phase 2 is interesting because we don't have like a set buff. We're not waiting for DMF or something. You can kind of do speedruns whenever you feel like. So as a speedrunner, when do you guys actually intend to do speedruns?
In about 2 weeks is our goal is 2 or 3 weeks. But the funny thing is some other guilds are going, no, we're just going to do splits the entirety of the phase until the last few weeks.
Ooh, so that's interesting.
I know like some other guilds that are top alliance guilds have been like talking to me about like, oh, how long are you going to do splits? And I'm like, we're probably doing it for like 3 weeks, and then we're probably going to start speedrunning. And they're like, oh, we're probably going to keep doing splits until the last month, and then just take everyone else's strategies and start speedrunning with better gear. And
That
I was
seems
like,
to be a good plan.
I was like, fuck, is that? I was like, is that really? God damn it! Like, because that's the better idea. That's the long con, right? Because like nobody seems to care who had the best speedrun record in the middle of the goddamn phase.
Yeah.
Everybody just cares about who ends the phase with the best speed, right? It doesn't matter if you were like, oh, by the way, Rain had like a number 3 Growl or some shit, or like number 1 Mac Darridan for Alliance for a bit. It's like nobody gives a shit, right? They just care about what the board looks like at the very end, or like where you peaked at all. So yeah, it was really scary because then it means that I'm doing like 4 more months of just splits.
I was about to say, are you worried about burnout? Because split raids are very trying, I guess you could say.
No, they're opposite of trying. a lot of people are doing the opposite of trying in those things. I fucking hate it. Like, yeah, I'm a little worried about the burnout for sure. But like you said, because you're not waiting, because in Classic, it's like world buffs, until once a month, right?
Yeah.
Speedrunning once or twice a month. Excuse me, because of Dark Moon Fair. So that added to the stakes. There's nothing like that anymore, like you said. So I just guess it's kind of busting out consumes or something. I'm not sure. So you know the split yesterday. Oh, actually, you had Warcraft logs up, right, for Fairlina?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to like the damage for SSC. There's like a warrior Alinies, the boss damage for TK right there, right? Yeah. So the boss damage for TK is Alinies, who's a Fury warrior in our raid. That motherfucker. That by the way, click that.
Okay.
So yesterday in TK, in that god awful fucking raid, is where he got this. is a split raid. It's fucking terrible, right? You see, it's like 2.5 hour TK, but this guy spent at least like, I want to say he spent probably 2,000 gold on that raid, because throughout that raid yesterday, you know how like I had to go for consumes and new consumes and shit like that. Go to like the full day of it. It's probably yeah. And then just go to his buffs, dude. go to his buffs.
Okay, how many haste buffs
look at haste.
Oh, wait, I got a mouse over the right one. Yeah, he has 71. So that's what, like at 10 gold a pop. That's what, 710 gold.
They're 15 gold each on Fairlina. He spent over 1,000 gold on just haste pots for that one raid yesterday. Not to mention all the super sappers he used, and the strength scrolls, and it. Oh man, it's a lot of fucking money on that raid, on a split raid. Like
32 super sappers as well.
Yeah, 32 super sappers. Yeah, and 25 regular sappers.
Oh, he's even using flame caps. There you go.
Yep, where he can. Is a very sweaty raider. Very, very. I mean, you know how like we were talking about. You look at what is it? The max on things, and then warriors are like number 3. It's like these are the warriors that are getting number 3. Like they're the ones who are like, how many haste pots? It's like, oh, are you gonna use haste pots on this fight? It's like, how many am I using on this fight? It's like, yeah, just 10 per pull, 5 per Kael'Thas, you know, just every single time that you could get damage.
He's even using he's getting the braided Eternium chain buff as well.
Yeah, everybody's rotating necks as a requirement in melee and caster groups. And since we're wiping,
46 strength scrolls, 46 agility scrolls.
And I can guarantee you, almost none of those actually just wore off.
Yeah, I did
don't
see
think any of
Alinies
those
die a
lasted
lot
full-
yesterday, spectating your raid.
Yeah, the poor guy. The poor guy. But yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot of people who are like trying really hard, right? And it's like great. He farmed a lot of DME jump runs. Dude, if only it were like that simple to just keep doing that all the time now. I mean, and not get banned like the Paladins. Dude, the Paladins getting banned? Oh man.
yeah.
It still sucks. I'm still paranoid. I don't really want to go farm strat right now.
Have you done
So,
any Brewfest stuff, by the way? Have you done a little
yeah.
Brewfest?
I've done a little bit of Brewfest. Did you see that the maidens were level 100? The
Oh, I didn't
trinkets?
see that, really.
Yeah. Wait, when you summon the brew maidens, they are level 100. It was really funny because I was explaining on stream like they're level 100 because it's the Legion client. So it's the Legion version of the trinkets. They were like critting everything because their weapon skill or like whatever was so much higher than people's defenses. So they were like critting for like 450, 500 every swing on things. Sometimes they'd hit for like 100, but other times they would just like truck stuff. And they like hot fixed it in the middle of the day yesterday because I went to go do Brewfest. Somebody summoned one and it was level 70, and I was like, wait, they fucking hot fixed it. They like actually just updated it within like the last hour because it had been like that all week where it was just level 100. So I was a little sad, but I'm glad they caught that. So they're catching things slowly but surely.
Yeah, it just always feels, man. I wish they had just more people working on Classic.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they catch things and they fix things eventually. It's always just a little bit slow and it's always a little bit buggy at the start, and then they eventually get there.
Yeah. So do you have Warp Spring Coil?
I do not yet. We haven't seen it drop.
So it is very good. It is really good.
It's proccing a lot. It procs a lot.
Yeah. My very first Solarian with it, and keep in mind Solarian has like in and out, like kind of like she disappears for a bit and shit like that. I had 39% uptime. It's a very good trinket. It is anywhere from 30 to 40% uptime in every fight.
Man, I'm really glad that I don't have to fight people for that, and it's just rogues. It's just default.
Yeah, it's like even if the proc chance is very high, but the internal cooldown seems to be like, I want to say like 40 seconds. It's something like 40 seconds or like 37 seconds, but the timer definitely starts as soon as it procs. So it's definitely not a 45-second internal cooldown. It has to be lower than that. 30-second internal cooldown according to Wowhead. Yeah. So like it could be up to 50% uptime. It seems to be really insane when I look at it. The buff looks like Arcane Brilliance, so it took me a while to find it for a bit. I was looking for like a badge of the Swarm Guard or like inside of the Karaji buff looking thing, because that's how the armor pen buff from like Icon of Courage looks as well, the armor pen buff. But yeah, the only thing I don't like is it's too easy to proc. Like it procs off sap. Yeah, it procs off everything. So it's any special ability. It made me like sit there going like, is this something that I actually would use in PvP?
Yeah, that's
right?
what
like,
I was thinking as well. When I was looking at it, I was like,
right?
Do you use it in PvP for like, because a lot of rogues when they don't need extra stealth will swap out their jewel crafting trinket for just Bloodlust Brooch just for active DPS, a little bit more active DPS. But if the Warp Spring Coil proc is reliable, you can it be actually pretty good. There's a lot of armor pen.
Yeah, 1,000 armor pen. Plus, if you're exposing, you're gonna get like the 2,000 to 3,000, which if you have EA or not. But the reason it wouldn't be auto equipped for PvP risk is because of the fact that you want the stealth from the Panther, right? And the Panther actually has a really good active of 320. Yeah. So it's like the Panther's like 54 ability power, and the active is 320 ability power. So when it's activated, it's more than even Bloodlust Brooch during that window. It's stronger than Bloodlust Brooch. So that's why people don't put it on, because the Panther is just good for offense and defense and against other rogues, which the rogue v rogue matchup is very important for rogues.
Pretty much determines the entire matchup a lot of the times.
Yeah. It's that is why like Perception is like probably the best rogue racial right now. It's just used almost every single game, against druids, against rogues and things like that. So yeah, it's very important to get the opener. So
Yeah.
AP ability power. I might have said that. I don't know. But attack power. It just whenever I hear AP, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I really like I really like the Brewfest stuff though, because it feels like it makes it easier for people to catch up. That's what I found is for people that are needing to catch up on characters and such, having that free badge trinket or whatever it is, just it really makes it nice to try catch people up, because they don't have to go grind and do all that other stuff as well. They just instant catch up. They get that. I know a lot of people who didn't have Icon or Bloodlust Brooch and such who just go do Brewfest, pick up your items. Nice little catch up mechanic there. It's actually really, really nice.
Yeah, it's actually incredibly nice. And the fact that they stack too is really interesting. Some people are like getting 2 of the same trinket and then using one, and the other one goes on a 20-second cooldown. So they're on different cooldowns.
Back to back. It's very good for people that don't have like DST, for example, for rogues.
Yeah.
You just do double.
You can also,
active.
You can, so like you said, it's good for that. I was actually using both. But the offensive ones put the other one on cooldown for like the 20-second duration or whatever. But the defensive ones and the healing ones don't put each other on cooldown. So you can actually use both healing trinkets at the same time. You can use both shield block trinkets at the same time as well. There's like some warrior who's like using both shield block trinkets, you hitting both of them and then shield slamming for like 4K on a crit.
Yeah, I saw that our tanks are picking up 2 of those as well. They've been having some fun with those.
Yeah, it actually seems pretty good. But Warp Spring Coil in general is just actually is an insane trinket. It definitely significantly increased my DPS, and it's a really like fun trinket, right? It definitely has really good uptime. It makes me think that that rogues probably won't go for Madness of the Betrayer at all.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not even gonna go for it. I'm just gonna pass and let it. I'm perfectly happy with my DST Warp Spring when I get it.
Yeah, because Warp Spring Coil is 15 seconds, 1,000 armor pen, and 21 hit. And Madness of the Betrayer is 21 hit, so it's 1 hit more. Or sorry, 20 hit, 1 hit less. And it's 84 attack power, and then 300 armor pen for 10 seconds. So it's 700 less armor pen for 5 less seconds for 84 consistent attack power. But the uptime of Warp Spring Coil just seems so fucking good that I don't see Madness of the Betrayer being better, even with the static 84 AP. So,
yeah,
which is good news for hunters and warriors who want Madness of the Betrayer, because it does work on ranged attacks.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question for you to kind of wrap up today. What are your thoughts about? Is it worth starting up WoW again? Right now, if you are someone that hadn't jumped in to TBC and you're looking at it, do you think would you recommend it to a friend?
How much do I like this friend? Because I care about them. I would tell them to stay away, for their own good. But in terms of like if somebody's looking for a game, I don't know. It's one of those things where I love the game, but I know it's not for everyone, right? And I know it's not something that everybody should start or do. So for me, I think that I don't think I would like want somebody to pick up the game right now. I think they could, right? I don't know if I'd recommend it, but yeah, I think they could pick up the game. If you're asking me if it's like not a bad time to be a new player, I would say it's probably not a bad time to be a new player. Like you buy the boost, you can play with people almost immediately. You'll level up. You go roll on a server that's not dead. And then you could do Karazans almost immediately without having to attune. So that's not bad, right?
The only thing annoying thing is they'll have to attune for SSC and TK.
Yeah, which means you also have to do normals and get rep and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but yeah, I don't know, man. People asked me this the other day. That's why I was wondering. I was thinking, man, I don't know, because like, have you seen the problem is I feel like back when WoW was super popular is that there weren't that many alternatives for like really top end games that people were playing and such. But now there's just so much stuff out there that sometimes I feel it has to be a certain niche of player that will enjoy WoW the way it is right now, especially TBC Classic WoW. It has to be like a certain type of player. But yeah, did you see the tweet from I think the Riot Games hired the guy that worked on Witcher and Cyberpunk? Which is really neat. So the more I hear about that Riot Games MMO, man, the more interesting it sounds. With the team they have behind it, it's actually kind of exciting potentially.
Yeah, they have a lot of money to spend on it, right? Like, they Riot has two of the biggest games in the world with uh, Valorant and League of Legends. So they are, they have a lot to throw into that. I think that's very good for what's coming for an MMO. Because MMOs are like a black hole of money before they release. You just throw money into them, and they're going to suck up all this money from you, and then eventually you're going to be able to get some return from it. But now they have so much money to throw into it, it doesn't matter if it goes into a black hole for years. It'll eventually pay off when they release the game. So they don't have to do a bunch of like the angel investing that a lot of early MMOs have to do, where they have to rely on millions of dollars from people who believe in their product. They can fuel their own product, make their own mistakes, right? But that I think is why I think indie companies are very, very hard to come by now with like super good game breaking or genre defining games, like how Blizzard did back in the day, how Riot did with League of Legends, where that was made in a fucking garage by like two dudes and the angel investors in a company. Now it's like, if you are a successful game company, it is more likely that your next product will be successful because you have money to put into it and you have a lot of time. And if you have a successful product from before, even if this one fails, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like how Riot released Legends of Runeterra, and it's not like as good as, it could have been as a card game compared to like Hearthstone or anything else, right? So you can have failure games if you're a successful game company. It's not going to ruin you. So you can take risks on spending a lot of time on an MMORPG that's going to give you $0 back for 5 years. So you can spend a lot of money if you have that money to spend, right? Which makes me excited for it, because it means you're not going to get something like, no offense to these games, like New World or like these Ashes of Creation, where you see the beta and you play it and you're just like, okay, this is very far from development being like completed. And there's a lot of systems in it that need to be updated, and there will be patches for a very long time. Whereas I think the Riot MMORPG, when it releases, will look like a finished, clean product. That is my hypothesis, is that they're going to spend a lot of time behind closed doors in research and development before releasing it, because they want to have quality and polish. Whereas right now, games have changed, especially MMORPGs, where when they give you beta access, it's really an alpha, right?
Yeah, and you're paying like $200 for that alpha as well, is what a lot of them are doing.
The beta is really an alpha, and then the release is really a beta, right? Like when they release the game, it's still in beta, essentially, and then they patch it and update it, and then a few months later is when the actual quote unquote what would be released years ago, what that product would have looked like on release in terms of how clean it is. So I definitely feel like that's how games have trended, is people want them in their hands as soon as possible. But because the game is unpolished, unfinished, people are more likely to drop it and give it less chances. But when you call something a beta or an alpha, people get to go, oh, it's still in beta. It's like a lot of things have. It's like when TBC was on the PTR. Oh, it's in beta, guys. It'll be ready.
Zirene, do you have your belt yet?
It'll be ready on the 1st. I just stopped looking at that stuff. I know the tabard messes it up. I just don't care anymore. I don't even know what a belt looks like. I can't tell if my character has one on or not anymore, dude. I'm just done with it. I'm just straight up done. But yeah, like I said, I'm very excited for the Riot Games MMORPG because of the fact that they can spend a lot of money on those things.
On the topic of WoW, though, when do you think they should get rid of the SSCTK attunements? Because obviously they had all of us go do those attunements, so it doesn't make sense removing them right away. But at some point they do need to remove them to make it easier to get people caught up. Because right now, like someone mentioned in chat earlier, is like the problem with new people coming in is it is getting to that point now where you need guild support to be able to grind that rep up and then go do all the attunement stuff and such. I've been watching M Bonnie. For people who don't know, another streamer, M Bonnie, who's a big PvPer, he's been trying to get geared up, so he's been doing PvE as well. He's been having to beg people in the guild to come help him do all the attunement stuff, because there's no one really doing the attunement stuff anymore. And without the guild to help him, he's just kind of stuck. He's just kind of stuck having to try to do attunements now. So when do you think they should remove the attunements?
Right now?
Right now?
No. What I think they should do is they should remove the requirement for heroic aside from being level 70.
Ooh.
Right. I just think in order to do heroics, the key should just be level 70, and you can't buy it until you're 70. That's what I think. Right.
That's actually not bad. Yeah, or at least reduce it to friendly, so you don't really have to grind. You kind of get the friendly or honored or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just think like I know that one of the complaints that people always had about WoW is they made it more like casual friendly over time. And that's one of the things that people didn't like about Wrath a bit. Like they're like, oh, they appealed to like the lowest common denominators. Kata, people were like, this is stupid. Like people didn't feel like anything was earned anymore, right? Like your armor doesn't feel earned. Feels like you just get carried to shit. The retail thing where people just carry you, all that stuff, funnels. That you don't have to have a guild. You can just LFG everything. So people don't like that they removed the social aspect as well as the like the reward for how much effort you put in and made it more casual friendly. But I feel like there's a lot of red tape that is just tedious grind work that I think they could remove without much fallout and mostly positives, right? Yeah. So that's what I think, right? Is like there's too many like things that are arbitrary and like tedious that I think they could just remove that don't make people go, oh, well, you know, it was part of the grind to do these things. It's like, I remember being in Shattered Halls, AoE farming for hours to try and get revered so I could do the thing that allowed me to get into the other thing. Like, damn, that's really random that you had to do that, and probably holds a lot of guilds back and is more likely to make your game die because you can't find replacements for raids. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's one of those things where you look at it in retrospect and think it adds to the memory of things, but like at the same time, you also want your game to not die. You want to have recruits.
Yeah, somebody, Vexinic said, I heard there was an item that attuned the target to TK SSC that dropped from Vashj KT. That would solve it. Yes.
That'd be great if they added in right now, actually.
Yeah, that thing existed. It was a scroll, I believe, that attuned the person to SSC from Lady Vashj and TK from Kael'Thas. And those things eventually got replaced when the attunement got removed with a scroll that you clicked and it gave you 4 marks of the Illidari. So once it became like obsolete, they just made it give you 4 marks of the Illidari, and then they took it out completely later. Yeah. So yeah, that did exist. The fear is that you would probably sell it to people now.
Yeah.
Like we would be like, I don't know. I don't know what Rain would do. They'd just be like, these people don't want to have to grind heroics, right? They don't want to have to grind normals to get the heroics. Do you store those in your G bank and then use them on people who have like alts you want to get in immediately? Or do you want to just sell those things and be like, hey, let's get you right. 5,000 gold, buddy. Like, how much do you think those things would sell for?
Oh, man. People would definitely pay. Because people are already paying to get carried through the heroic attunement stuff that they need to do. I mean, if you guys ever watched Cannibal, he literally paid someone to be able to AFK and get through all his attunements without having to do them. Like, people are already paying obscene amounts of gold just to not have to do attunement stuff.
But kind of one of the things that I think is a little weird about that is people would pay for it, sure, but you just get new scrolls every week, right?
Yeah.
So
it'll flood the market eventually.
The market would get flooded eventually, right? You would think.
I think it depends on the guild as well. Like I know my
not everybody's clearing though, so
they would keep it. Like we would keep it for recruits because we are more concerned about the longevity of our guild in particular. So we would probably keep it and just be like, if you join us, you get 4 attunements, and then we don't have to worry about stuff.
Yeah, then I would join you and quit. So I could
that's the problem. That's the problem. You're that pug guy who joined us yesterday for like 40 minutes, and then I was like, oh god, that was a good pull, guys. Yeah, I gotta go now.
Good pull.
Yeah, good pull. I'll see you guys later. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks for the attunement, TY. Gotta go. God, that would actually be so funny.
Yeah. They just need like something to help guilds be able to recruit fresh players and such, because that's what kills every guild and every MMO eventually is just lack of new fresh blood as your guild dies. So you can delay the inevitable of poaching each other's guilds and such without needing to do that for as long as possible.
Yeah, just stick together for as long as possible. The other guilds will give out first. They'll fall apart first, and then you swoop in and steal
then you
all
feast
their good
on
members.
Oh,
Like
but
a
man,
fucking
it's
ultimate.
scary being a melee. Like we said earlier, it's scary. Your guild falls apart and they have to merge, or you have to find a new guild. You're probably not being a melee anymore. It's the problem.
Yep.
Yeah, I always warn rogues. They ask me like what out to make. I say, well, I mean, shaman out's always wanted, but if you have a shaman out, just be careful because the other guilds will want you to reroll or swap mains because they don't really want you on the melee. They want your shaman. So it's a very very sketchy out to have if you're scared about wanting to have to main swap.
Just play a shaman, just in a different guild, so they can't ask you to play it. That's what I do with my shaman.
Yeah, you are rating.
Are
you still
guilds.
rating on 4 tunes, by the way?
Yes, I am.
Jesus
Yes,
Christ!
I am. Three of those tunes are now 10 out of 10. So
you saw my nice adventures in the dagger rogue. Dagger rogue rating.
That made me feel a lot better about my week. I'll be real honest with you. God, whenever somebody comes by my chat and they're just like, well, what about mutilate? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, what about daggers in general? Combat daggers. I'm like, it's probably pretty damn bad. Like the combo point generation for expose is bad. Even slice and dice, like combo points just mean so much now. And then I've never seen anybody do it before. So this was all based on theory crafting. And then I saw Snow do actual combat daggers, and it was even worse than I thought it could be. Like, Snow's playing out of his mind. He's rocket booting. He's evasioning. He's getting to a LAR like ASAP. He's playing out of his goddamn mind. He's not even having to expose armor. The other rogue is doing it. And he named himself on the DPS meter Resto Shaman. And you probably couldn't have told the difference if you were colorblind what class he actually was. Because it just seemed rough, dude. It just seemed really rough. How was it playing that?
Okay, so for people that don't know, I spent the last week playing combat daggers. And the reason, okay guys, I'm not crazy. The reason why I tried it out just for this last week is because that particular rogue, I have multiple rogues. That rogue does not have a phase 1 main hand that is a sword. So I happened to pick up a very early Tempest Keep dagger. And I thought, well, this is going to be the only time when maybe my combat dagger DPS is comparable to what I have on my character right now, since I haven't picked up a phase 1 sword yet, and I haven't picked up a phase 2 sword yet, so I can check it out for just this week. And my guild that happens to run 2 rogues, so I can get the other rogue to expose armor.
Mm-hmm.
So what I found out first is that it really sucks if the other rogue needs you to take over expose duties from time to time. Which does happen in multiple rogue raids though. Sometimes the other rogue gets either he has to swap classes because your guild just wants a better comp for that boss, like Morrogrim, or like he just can't make it, or he gets CC'd, or something bad happens with mechanics and he needs you to throw up the quick expose armor because he can't get back in time.
Tell him no. Means he's bad. Can't keep it up. He's just bad.
But good luck getting expose armor up as a combat dagger rogue, by the way, because you literally don't even have the energy points to keep a consistent 1-point slice and dice up. The timing window on that stupid thing, I tried every single combination I could. It's the most awkward rotation I have ever done, in that both 1 and 2-point slice and dice just run out at the wrong timing windows. Mm-hmm. And you run into this weird situation where you're trying to refresh expose armor sometimes 8 seconds early just so that you can get your slice and dice 1 point back up, and then you're trying to save again. You run into the energy issue where you might not even get to 5 points in time again. It was basically just a disaster. If you ever have to expose armor, it was like the worst thing I have ever experienced. And then trying to keep exposed armor up on the mob, if any mechanics interrupted you, you take so long to generate combo points again, because as a sword, it takes, you literally get 3 combo points really, really quickly. If you get CC'd or something, or you get moved by the mob, you come back, you get 3 combo points just like that. But as daggers, you get 2 combo points, then you have no energy. and then you need 60 energy per combo point after that. So it takes so long for you to recover. And your option at some point might be, oh, I got to shiv for combo points because otherwise I'm not going to get enough combo points. And at that point, if you're shiving with dagger spec, then something has already gone horribly wrong and you're losing even more DPS. So
it looked miserable. So I had a good time watching.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then even when I wasn't doing it, there's just some mobs where, God, like Zirene was there when I was chasing around Allah, and then my tank didn't position Allah like so that I could backstab easily.
Oh, this is the tank's fault. No.
So literally,
not the person who went daggers in raid. I'm just saying. Like,
literally, I went up to Allah, and I couldn't backstab. I was just like running in circles around Allah, trying to find a back, and there was no back for me to backstab.
Yeah.
So literally, I just walked up to the mob and auto attacked him for a little while. Is what happened.
The fact you didn't start Sinister Striking right away and was just sat there for a few seconds being like, "Why? Where the fuck is the back? Where's the back?" Like, that was the icing on the cake for me. Because you're like, I can't backstab. So you didn't even like Sinister Strike. You were just like, no, I'm gonna find this back. This is the most important. What the hell? It was wonderful.
And the sound as well. The sound has changed. As Zirene knows,
so bad.
They changed the sound.
So bad.
Yeah, I don't know why it has that sound, but they changed the sound of backstab to a completely different sound now.
It sounds like Shiv.
Yeah,
it sounds bad. It just sounds like Shiv. It's terrible. Like, I actually like. I'm glad you played daggers because I might have had to play it or had somebody want me to play it at some point. And now I just like never want to do that ever. Like, not even just the gameplay satisfaction standpoint, but just everything else around it. Like the sound effect, the combo point generation, the fact that like Snow also was missing out on the best part of daggers, which was having like large combat text pop up and show you the big old number. But Snow's combat text all just looks the same on the side. So every time he crit, it was just the same number as the other ones. And I was like, oh, like, where's the big number, man?
Yeah, and the problem as well is that Modius in the chat is asking about mutilate, is that I could go mutilate and then it would solve my combo point generation issues, but then it would also mean that I'm playing mutilate and I'm doing like 5 to 10% less damage. So it was just bad all around. I will say though, the one fight I did enjoy as combat daggers was Vashj, because all I do as a rogue is I stand in one spot and DPS on Vashj, basically. The entire fight is literally I just stand in one spot. Until phase 3, I'm literally just like, I must as well just be PvEing against like a trash mob the entire time, because that's literally what you're doing. So it didn't suck on Vashj in particular, because I wasn't exposing, and you literally just stand in one spot DPSing. But that was kind of like the exception to the rule. Everything else sucked. Everything else about playing combat daggers sucked. And this is coming from someone who played daggers for all of Classic. Was a diehard daggers fan. I can't do it again, guys. No more.
Did it. I don't know.
Yeah, no more. But yeah.
You just reminded me of another fun thing that I got to see/experience this week. One of the raids in my guild, not Rain, but in Lucid, has a shaman, because people are desperate for shamans and stuff. So it's like okay. There's the shaman's name is Pop Lust, and you can't call him Pop Lust, you can't call him Lust, and you can't call him Pop, because there's already a guy in that raid named Pop X Off, who has he's like a Grand Marshal and stuff. He's been around for a long time. People call him Yo Pop, right? So
No.
When you try to get his attention and you say Pop Lust, people respond to that. That resonates with people in the raid. It resonates with a lot of people in the raid. It's I'm like, what's the solution? You got to call him like PL or something, dude. It's it's like the most troll name that I've seen to date, dude. Oh my god, it's actually a problem.
Oh yeah, guys. But yeah, next week for the next podcast, by the way, Zirene knows a little bit because he was on the stream when I was talking about it as well. Is that I think I'm gonna start doing raid, like a guide on how to run a guild that doesn't suck and how to set up and do like raid leading and such. I think that'd be an interesting thing because it's something that people come into our streams and ask all the time anyway. Is like, what do I do on this mob? What do you think about loot priors and such? So I thought I'd just dedicate a section on my website to just doing that. And then at the start of, before every phase and something, me and Zirene can go through like loot priors and like general boss strategy and how he would raid lead it and such. Because it's something that, well, I mean, he does already. Zirene already does that on his raids. So we must as well give the content for the people that want the content anyway. I mean, I have to do that as well on the back end. Because as some people know, my Felina guild has lost some officer crews and such, so I have to, if I don't want to be a homeless rogue, I think I need to step up and I gotta fill in the admin role.
Yep, and that's the thing, right? Is being a homeless rogue just means you're done. Like, if you're a homeless rogue, you're never getting glaives. Like there's no way you're not going to join a guild and they're going to be like, this guy who joined us in phase 2, he's going to get glaives next phase. Like, you got to beat out all the other people. There's probably some fucking prot warrior who will beat you out too, there's seniority and all that, and I know I hate that, but now it's like truly in your hands. If you want to earn those glaives, Snow, you actually are in control of that. If your guild falls apart, it was all your fault. So if it stays together, you better be getting the glaives, though. You better be getting those sweet glaives.
That's right. I'm not doing this work for nothing, guys. The sacrifices I make for the war glaives.
So do it for the glaive, dude.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, guys. So we'll get into like WoW stuff now. We'll cover quickly. There's some stuff that came up that people wanted me to cover before we get into the big topic of Classic Fresh and the details surrounding that. Is that I don't know if people know about this one. This was an interesting one because I wouldn't know if I didn't talk to Warlock players about this, or if Warlock players didn't ping me when I was watching Channel. But for people that don't know, Warlock talents are broken right now, or one Warlock talent is broken in particular, in that the talents that were supposed to negate or allow you to overcap your spell hit are not working right now. So literally, the Warlocks have these talents that let you overcap your spell hit, and you can take them, and they've noticed that, wait, why are rogues resisting more spells and such now, even though it feels weird. So they tested it. They literally went and tested it. They found out that, wait, yeah, it's actually not working. The Warlock resist talent is literally not working. And it's been broken for a while, apparently. And yes, the Warlock Discord have bug reported it and such, but it is literally a talent or change in how the Warlock resists spell hit and such works. That just was undocumented, and they would never have known if people just didn't go and test it themselves and find out that, yeah, the Warlock spell hit is not working right now. And they don't know like why, if this is an intended change or if this is a bug side effect. Because from what I can tell, is that this change came about in that patch that kind of changed a lot of stuff like recently. I think it was maybe like 2 patches ago or something, or 2 updates ago, maybe something like that. But this came about in earlier in TBC, is that something happened and they changed a whole bunch of the spell hit, or they changed something, and it changed the way spell hit stacking and such worked, so that it doesn't work anymore. So like the problem here is that, like as they say, there should be roughly 1% chance to resist in both cases when testing out with like the talents and such, but it just didn't work. It just legitimately just does not work. So additional spell hit over the 3% cap, whether it's from gear or talents, does not work against other rogues' talents. So, for example, rogues have this talent called Heightened Senses, which Warlocks used to gear and talent for, so that they could ignore the Heightened Senses talent, but they can't do that anymore. So I don't know. It's just one of those things where we don't know if this is intended, or if this is like a bug, or if this just came about, and if Blizzard even really is working on fixing this, because we have no communication, and there's no patch notes or anything. I saw the one thing like Channel was really annoyed about is there's just no patch notes. And it's the same old issues. Zirene's ranted about no patch notes as well, is that we don't know what's going on in WoW. We legitimately don't know if this is like an intended change or if it's a bug or when this exactly happened. It's just we don't know anything. It's just the same old issue as always, where we legitimately just don't know. But the scary thing is that it raises other questions of if spell hit is broken for warlocks right now, or if like your stacking and such is broken, what else is broken that we don't know about? If like it took warlocks going about and literally just going and like casting spells on one guy and getting the stats out for it to find out this was broken, we don't know what else is broken. Which is kind of scary because I swear like every week we're finding stuff that's broken in the game anyway. So
yep, it's probably everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I feel like everything's slightly if everything's slightly broken, then everything's actually fucking
it's a way of balance. Right? It's a way of balance. Every time we need balance, we just break more things, and if everything's broken, then everyone's happy. Well, everyone's unhappy. Everyone's equally unhappy. Everyone's equally unhappy.
Mm-hmm. And if everybody's unhappy, then you know nobody is, because they're all the same level of happiness. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. These types of things just keep happening all the time, and it really, it just makes me realize that the game is, it's not the same game from back in the day, obviously, right? Because they're reverse engineering it from the Legion client and everything. It's like why the Brew Maiden was like level 100 and stuff like that. So there's a lot of tiny things that just keep popping up. And when you're like dealing with anything that has to do with design or game design, I definitely think that they're in that like position that I would never want to be in, where you're working with someone else's work and you have to go figure out what's going on underneath the hood. Because it's probably some random spaghetti, right? It's not something that was like probably created by them. It's probably something that they've added in, interacting with something else that's already existed for a long time. And that's what's causing it, right? I think I talked about this before, where like there was something in like League of Legends where they changed the login screen and it affected like a character in game one time. It was like really weird. So yeah, like there's bugs that.
Speaking of bugs that we saw a little bit of that with the Vashj. Speaking of bugs that just randomly happen.
Yep.
And for people that don't know, on the main raid night as well, the Vashj was not killable.
On Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, on Tuesday, that Vashj was literally not killable. They fixed something about Vashj, and then Vashj just wasn't killable anymore. You couldn't dunk the things, and people were coming into my chat and saying like, "Oh, Snow, if you just have a Zirene and they're tall enough and they stand in this position and they use this macro, then I heard that you can dunk." And it's like, I don't know if I want to test it out. I think we're just gonna go to TK. I think we're just gonna go to TK. I don't think I want to spend my night testing out if we can use a Tauren hitbox to be able to click on the orbs or not.
Well. Honestly, though, big shout out to Blizzard. They saw me wiping for 8 hours on Vashj, so they wanted to have everybody else get that same experience, and made her unkillable. So, like, a lot of people came into my chat and they were like, "Wow, I thought you were in a hardcore guild. What is this? I've been gone for 3 hours and you're still on Vashj." And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is one, embarrassing. Two, yeah, I understand. Three, it's like now she's unkillable. So I was just like, "Fuck you guys." Oh. I just thought it was really funny, actually, but it was really messed up because it was like, it was only North America too, because like Europe hadn't reset yet, so they didn't get the resetted version. But also, I also noticed like it was really funny because my friend went and I think they were watching Noda, and like Noda was wiping on Vashj a lot too, like a lot. And they were like, "Hey, they're having the same trouble," and then somebody's like, "Oh no, Vashj is unkillable right now." It's like, no, they're in Europe. It hasn't reset yet. Like this is they can still click the things. It's like, wait a second. It's just she's hard in general. Like she's the hardest thing in the game right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially with the Kael'Thas changes. And then you make her unkillable, which is another step. Like I just don't. It's crazy because people are just like, hey, what causes this? Or it seems simple, right? Where it's like, oh, this is something that is like, it should be easy to fix, or how does this like become an issue? What did you change? But it's usually just a lot of things and just something really small interacting with something else causing this type of bug. So you'll change something about Ironforge and Lady Vashj will be messed up, right? So
Yeah, especially in this old code as well.
Yeah, I hate that stuff. I'm glad that I never have to deal with that ever. So yeah, shout out to the people who have to work on those things, because there are a lot of bugs in TBC and there always have been. And those are the people that, like, one, they keep us in business because, you know, we talk about bugs every week. And two, they do an okay job at getting some pushes out, you know, but there are bugs that pop up that you're just like, where's my belt? Like, where's my belt? I know it's not game breaking.
Yeah,
so
I think the ship has sailed on a
but...
belt. They've just given up. They come up on things to fix.
Yeah. But regardless, yeah, bugs keep popping up like that all the time, and I swear there's like, I swear there's so many things, like you said, that are undiscovered. It was actually you showing that clip reminded me of something where somebody was like trying to tell me that, because I was in Seadu's chat, and like, I don't know about you, Snow, but like all of my characters that aren't a tank still only have 349 defense, right? I haven't gotten that final defense point. I haven't like tanked enough mobs at 70 to get the defense point on like my rogue or my shaman, right? And I was in Seadu's chat, and I was like, do you think that you should like go get hit by a mob for a while to get that last point of defense? And somebody was like, oh, it doesn't matter in PvP. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, defense and like weapon skill don't matter in PvP. And I was like, wait, is that true? And some guy was like really adamant. He was like, yeah, I'm in the, it was like some like priest Discord or something. Yeah, he was like, yeah, I'm like a moderator in the priest Discord for like PvP. And so I went and I like checked stuff with my characters. And I like equipped a mace on my rogue. Excuse me. I equipped a mace on my rogue and swung at my shaman and used like Sinister Strike, right? And eventually I actually missed enough attacks and didn't crit enough either compared to what my crit chance was. So I actually can confirm that weapon skill and defense rating do matter in PvP. People say that they don't, but they absolutely do. They absolutely do. It affects your crit chance and it affects your hit chance.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was gonna say that as well.
Matter,
is that like people don't realize it. You can still like you can still hit people with like 0 weapon skill and such in PvP. It's just that your crit chance and such are actually affected. So people don't realize that you actually do need to go work on the weapon skill.
This is my shaman. You can see 350 defense, no extra defense, anything like that. Resilience, 0.3 off, but I want to keep the shield on for now. So for the sake of this test, just ignore that. But the 350 defense, you can see there's no tricks, nothing like that. Now I'm going to swap over a mace, which I am not maxed out skill-wise. Right? I am at 196 skill in maces, but I'm at 6.2% hit. Now, PvP hit cap is 5% for white hits and yellow hits. But if I start attacking, you will notice that even though I am 1.3% hit above the cap, I will eventually miss. Eventually, right? But I'm also using it in one hand too, so like it's not a dual wield thing, right? But also it'll go on, and I don't know if I can fucking 2x speed this or anything like that. But let me see if I can get to the there's like a miss right there, right? It's like a white hit miss with a one-hander. And then right here I went to my crit, and you can see my crit rating after 60 hits is like 5%, which is around the 8%, give or take a little bit there. But eventually
my expected crit is
I then swap to a sword, and I swap to an expected crit of 15%. And then when I end up just swinging at myself for a while, right, I end up getting a lot more crit in terms of like percentage wise, right? Like 13% crit. So I go on for a few minutes here and check with like just my mace and get like 6%. And then I miss one hit out of those like 100. And so basically I spent like 9 minutes basically showcasing that it does affect your crit on your paper doll, and it does affect your crit overall. And then it also affects you, right? duels may not be the same as instant PvP. Yeah. But that's the same thing as like, I'm just saying it does affect PvP. I'm not saying there's conclusive evidence of BGs or arenas, but I'm saying it does affect you in PvP, right? So you'd have to go into an arena and do like a skirmish and like queue up at the same time and test it there. But it does affect the PvP, at least in the real world. So
it's good to see. But yeah, that's why I heard as well, is that, that's how it worked. Is that you seem to still be able to hit stuff, but it seems to still affect like your crit rate and such. All right. I mean, and speaking of PvP-ish change as well, we have the GCD change that came in as well.
Yeah, a lot of mages are not happy about that.
The thing is about this GCD thing. So for people that don't know, Blizzard basically made it so they can't go below 1 GCD if you are a mage. A lot of people are saying this is a PvP thing, but it actually doesn't really affect them in PvP that much. It's because they don't actually go really below that 1 point unless they have a shaman in a group. So for the most part, like Zayu explains it better. So I got a clip from Zayu who kind of showcases it in that in PvP it doesn't really matter right now. Mage is still going to destroy you in PvP.
Yeah, because in twos it's like MQG plus Icy Veins makes your poly 1.03 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not a change in twos or threes. So in fives it'll matter when you have lust, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So he's gonna showcase. This.
So Scorch is normally 1.5. With Icy Veins, it's 1.2. With MQG, it's 1.0. So effectively, this doesn't nerf mages at all. There shouldn't be any change unless you're doing fives with a shaman. And if you're doing fives with a shaman, you just don't play MQG, you just play Icon of the Silver Crescent anyways.
So basically, if for people that think that mages are going to suck in twos and threes and such now, no, not at all. They're still going to destroy you, still going to blow you up. Because they weren't really going below that 1.0 mark anyway for that.
Yes.
So, yeah. Don't worry, guys. Rogue Mage still strong, still the most broken, stupid comp I've ever played. So we still have that available to us.
What was his polymorph cast time?
0.9. At least that's what it shows. Yeah, 0.9.
Okay. Yeah. So polymorph with the force set and Icy Veins and MQG will actually be faster than the GCD by like 0.1.
Yeah.
And so you'll spend 0.1 locked out.
Yeah, warriors, rejoice.
Yeah, it just means that the mage force set is fucking useless. No, I'm just kidding. No, there's still actually value in getting something off faster than GCD in PvP. Even if you have to wait afterwards, especially with a control spell like Polymorph. If it's a DPS spell, then it does matter. But with Polymorph, controlling somebody faster and then waiting for your GCD to finish, still a lot of value in that. So like having a 0.6 second, 0.7 second Polymorph with Lust Up, still actually very, very good in PvP because you're just going to poly, then you'll pop Pet, right, 0.3 seconds later, but the person will be sheeped faster. So there's still value in that. But yes, they will still dominate twos. They will still be very, very good in threes. But yeah, as soon as this happened, a lot of mages were like, they had that knee-jerk reaction of, oh no. And then the PvP mages actually very quickly figured out, oh, this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A lot of PvP mages, the PvE mages were actually more upset because this affects PvE mages more. Because in PvE, a lot of the mages' AoE trash damage for like padding meters and stuff is popping Icy Veins, popping MQG, getting drums, or even anything like on top of that, right? Like getting a lust on a fight, right? Means that their arcane explosion was 0.6, 0.7 seconds. So on like a fight like Morrogrim, you're spamming arcane explosion with 0.7 seconds on the GCD. So, which was basically, I think, the floor, because I think the floor was like 0.7 or 0.68 or something like that. Until this update. But this actually reflects the behavior of how it was back in TBC. And I remember this because I played Holy Paladin. And when Sunwell came out, I was so fucking bored of Holy Pally. Like, let me just be real with you guys. I was so bored. It's the most boring class in the fucking game. No joke. I was so bored of Holy Pally. In Sunwell, I stacked haste and I regemmed all my gems with like yellow haste gems. And so my Holy Light actually, after you use the first one, and it's because Holy Light's like it's a percentage. If you increase your haste by a percentage, you have a flat reduction on top of it, which, by the way, stacking flat reductions and percentage reductions are very fucking strong. It's actually one of the reasons that like League of Legends changed like the way like cooldown reduction worked and stuff like that, because a champion like Skarner going from 40% to 45% CDR with his Q actually would reduce the cooldown by half at that point. The extra 5% would like reduce it by half because it was a flat reduction on his Q ability whenever he landed it. So like Holy Light, you reduce the 2.5 seconds and then you take 5 seconds afterwards is how haste works. So my Holy Light was down to 1.5 seconds, which meant my Flash of Light was actually below 1 second, or was getting below 1 second. So every time I would flash a light in PvE, I actually would have to wait afterwards. So I just used lower ranks of Holy Light for the rest of the game at that point, and just used the Holy Lights all the entire time as if they were flashes or if they're like larger heals. So it was interesting, but I definitely remember this being the case.
Just before we get onto the classic fresh stuff, the last little bits of things to cover from the stuff that's come up. More changes that no one honestly should care about, or that I don't understand why anyone cares about, or why Blizzard is doing them on both ends. We said this before when they changed emotes in the past, but yeah, Blizzard is for people that don't know, Blizzard is changing some mobs, packs, and Karazhan to include male mobs as well. So now the concubines and such, the concubine packs and Karazhan, they're not all females. You can get your male action there as well, apparently, if you wanna. You know, that at some point in time, there's some designer who's going, really? Do we really have to do this? And then his boss is just saying, yeah, man, we gotta be inclusive. We're gonna change these mob packs so that we have nothing that can come up in the future. But yeah, they're literally just changing mob packs to include males in them.
I don't think this is a bad change. I don't think it's fucking relevant to the people who care. Right? The people who are like outraged by it, I'm like, this isn't relevant to you. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't really affect your immersion or anything like that, right? Like, So, yeah. And the people who are like, you know, who are happy for it, like, yeah, at least they have something now, right? So, I feel like it's one of those things where if you're upset about it, it doesn't really affect you, and if you're happy about it, then like, that's awesome that you have like representation about it and those things. It's really funny because my chat loves this. I'm gonna share my screen again really quickly. You know, I have my shaman milkers. I have my my shaman, and you know, she's great and all that. She's great and all that. And then I have, you know, my little gnome that I retired from Classic, and then I have my retired bank alt, which I don't know why my chat really loves Zirene X for. You know, the Valentine's Day event was really good to me on this character. And then I have a fish for some reason too. But I don't know why. I don't know. It was just one of those things where, you know, I wanted the lovely black dress, and it for some reason it went a little lower on the male in the back. You know? So I think Blizzard's been doing a really great job with inclusivity, and yeah. It's been a good time.
So yeah, but Blizzard changing them. I personally don't care, but I don't think anyone should really care that much about it. Like Zirene says, one of those things that like it doesn't affect me. I don't care. You want to put more male mobs in the game, go for it. It's kind of like the same with the emote change, where for people that don't know, they took out, you can't brush up against someone and fart on them anymore in PvP. So that's one option taken out. But don't worry, guys, they added in clapping, by the way. They added in clapping, so you can still sarcastically clap at someone if you want. You can
kick, stink, shake, and moan have been removed.
Yeah.
What was shake? It was like shake suggestively?
I have no idea. I don't think I ever used shake actually. So basically, for people who are watching this stream, all the gray ones, I think are the ones that are taken out, and then they just like.
Oh, they got rid of fart?
Yeah, you can't fart anymore. You can't moon someone. You can't drop your pants and moon them, unfortunately.
People were doing /fart instead of spit. They were like, oh, /spit's gone.
Yeah, I know. Channel was doing that instead.
It's like time to /fart on people, which, like, coming from Riot Games, I can tell you that farting on somebody does get you a lawsuit. So. Oh, God. Farting at people is not appreciated in the workplace. So.
See, this is what happens is that instead, like, instead now you have clapping and nodding approvingly at people. Is what people do is what they did when they try to make League of Legends very safe for the techs. Is that everyone just got very sarcastic about what they talked about each other. Is that oh, that was a great gank in the mid jungle. You totally did that really well and didn't just screw our entire team over. You didn't lose the game on that gank. That was an excellent gank.
And the missing ping is used for everything.
Yeah,
like is somebody's not helping you, you just fucking missing ping them with the question mark. It's just like it's not used for what it was intended for. Now it's just like yeah, you ping people to fucking troll them. You're just like what the fuck? What are you doing down there?
Yeah. But like someone in chat is saying is like yeah, people are more annoyed that this stuff is happening while people feel like they're not being heard by Blizzard. And like the thing is, I'm sure they're not even. I don't even think they're the same people doing the changes. But we don't know. Like obviously the problem with Classic has always been that Blizzard just doesn't dedicate resources to Classic, and we just don't get anything for the Classic. Classic team just seems tiny, and it seems like they need more help. And then player base sees stuff like this being changed, and they're like, "You guys are wasting your time doing this stuff when we got so much stuff wrong. Like we can't even kill Vashj right now," and yeah, I mean, it's just on an optics level. It just doesn't look good. Is that the timing is weird and such. But I'm not even sure if they're the same people doing it, right? Like it could be a completely different team doing all these changes. Yeah,
that's the thing. But I would say they're pretty close, right? In terms of they'll be adjacent teams because it at least takes some programmer hours, right? Yeah. Whereas it's a little different than I'm playing League of Legends and somebody says, "Hey, Zirene, fix the fucking client." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll get right on that with all that coding experience." And like, what you want is somebody in this game? Like, you see somebody named like Riot something in your game, and then you're like, "Fix the fucking game, fix the client." And they're like, "I work in skins." Like, it's like, it's like, what are you doing on the game? Get back to work. Fix the fucking client, you dumbass. It's like, yeah, I just make Ari look pretty, and that's like, it's like. Come on, fix WoW. Yeah, it's just like casters start game. Like, come on. Casters stop talk, start game. It's like we don't have control of that. We don't fucking start the game. Like what? But people want somebody to blame, and yeah. Here though, like I said, I do think it's a little more adjacent because it is programmer hours to some degree. But I think this is like obviously more of a retail thing than like a classic thing. Is what they're doing.
Yeah, looks like yeah. But besides this, we okay, guys. We stalled long enough. We have the classic fresh stuff coming in.
Yeah.
On top of all that, at the same time, by the way, there are speaking of the classic, the old classic servers are getting server transfers because all the servers are dead. So they just allowing you to transfer to the one server with people, or with like two people playing, so that one person on Arago can now transfer to Whitemane if they want and join the other two people still playing Classic on that server apparently. But man, I was making this I was making the podcast list for yesterday, and then this announcement dropped. This whole Season of Mastery open beta stuff drop. And then I was looking at it and man, I don't even know where to start with this, but I guess we can start just by going over what they're doing. So for people that don't know, Blizzard is doing classic fresh servers, and they're going to be redoing them with these changes in place. So this is only a beta. It has to be said, this is only a beta. This might not be the final version that they release, but this is what they say they have planned for the re-release of Classic or OG Classic servers again. Is that they're going to be wanting to do content phases in a 2-month timeline. So that means basically you get one phase for 2 months, then you get the next phase for 2 months. And you can see here, this is the phase content. So they start off in MC. But the real change though is that they're bringing PvP honor and BGs in at phase 1.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because in the past, you could play a rogue and just stun lock people from 100 to 0 because PvP trinkets and everything and all that stuff wasn't in until later phases.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting though, because like, with how are you going to get fucking Grand Marshal? That takes so many weeks to get, and it's like the game will be like in phase 3 by the time you could ever get GM.
Oh my!
It's like what?
Could you imagine raiding through the entire thing? Because I remember the people that did rank 14, and a lot of them were like, "Just sit me for raid this week. Just sit me for raid this week. I can't spare the hours to go raid. I need to cap my honor. I need to go get that honor."
Yep.
Hey, could you imagine going the 3 phases of content while you're trying to do the rank 14? Because at least like people were lucky when they were rank 14, and that sometimes it would coincide with the end of periods, and guilds didn't mind like if the guy had to sit for a little bit while he finished off his honor grinding, because the weapons were pretty OP if they could get them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about doing this while you're going through 3 phases of content. That's going to be a rough chance for people trying to do that. But yeah, so it's a 2-month release schedule, so a sped up content release schedule. And they're going to be updating bosses as well, or they say they're going to be updating bosses, possibly making them harder by increasing health on the bosses. And they're going to remove the debuff limit. So these changes could be linked in that because they're removing the debuff limit, they're going to increase the health so that it kind of compensates for the fact that there's more dots and debuffs and things going up on the bosses.
Yeah, and no world buffs.
And no world buffs as well. So no world buffs. I don't know. I don't know about this portion of the change, but yeah, they have announced no world buffs for that. They're going to be restoring some mechanics, so potentially earlier versions of bosses that were a little bit harder as well. And then as well as that, there's the faster leveling that they have discussed as well. And this has been a contentious change among different people in the community, whether they like the fast XP or not. But basically, they're going to bring in TBC rate-ish leveling, in particular from quests. So they say there's a bigger focus on XP from quests increasing and increasing the leveling rate. So it's going to be a sped up leveling experience, a sped up server. So this is a 12-month server, basically, they're saying. You're going to go through all the content in 12 months, 6 phases in 12 months. 1 every 2 months, basically. And they're going to have summoning stones as well. So they're going to have summoning stones. They're going to be increasing the amount of mining, herbalism nodes, and such. And there was actually a post as well, add on to this, is that they're going to be looking at mage boosting as well.
Yeah.
Or whether that's something they want to get out of the game or stop from happening so that people actually have to level with the increased speed of leveling. So all of these changes, first, guys, I just want to say, I told you so. Everyone that commented back on the early podcast, when me and Zirene were just getting started with this podcast, and I said, remember how they hired Holly Longdale to run Everquest Classic? They poached her, basically, over from Everquest Classic, and now she's running Warcraft Classic, World of Warcraft Classic. This is literally how Everquest progression servers work. This is literally like they copy and pasted everything from Everquest progression servers, where you have 1 new server a year, you speed up the content phases, you increase the XP rate. Literally, this is everything that happened in Everquest Classic. And I had so many comments from you guys under the video saying that, oh, Snow, you're just afraid. You're afraid that WoW's a totally different game. It's totally different, guys. It's not going to be like Everquest Classic. The player base is different, and TBC is going to be different. It's not going to decay in the same way. And meanwhile, it's all decayed in the same way. And Blizzard is now releasing or looking at releasing everything that Everquest Classic was, but the WoW version, basically.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, what was the life like? What are they supposed to do to increase the longevity of these things? Well, it's like they said seasons of mastery, so like literally just keep doing it over and over again, every year. But
that's what they did in Everquest. So what really worries me about this stuff, though, is we'll get into each individual change as well, of course. But
yeah,
what really worries me about this as the main thing is that, for me, when I said this the first time when I was addressing this in one of our early podcast episodes, is that for me, when I see Blizzard go down this path, if they go down this path, because we have to keep in mind this is an open beta thing they're going to try, is that I feel like that's just the end of WoW, or they've just basically thrown in the towel, and once they start doing this cycle, they're basically saying, okay, well, we don't know. We just want to keep having this cash cow, keep milking it, and we're just going to release a fresh server every year. And this is how we're going to get people to keep coming back and subscribing, and we're going to keep milking this as long as we can, because you can infinitely do this. The reason why EverQuest Classic does this every year is because every time they release a new server, it brings a surge of subscriptions and spending, and people come back to play the game. Every server they do is never as popular as the previous server, but they still bring back a lot of people. They still get people who will come to subscribe for 1 month. They might not stay long term, but they'll subscribe for a month, and it gets them this giant injection of income and revenue. And it's a way for them to, like, even in EverQuest, which is basically like a dead game outside of a very small hardcore community still playing it, they still make bank from that small community that keeps coming back for every fresh server that they release every year. So for me, when I see Blizzard doing this, I think, oh man, like, they've just decided they can't fix it. They're just gonna milk it now. They can't fix it. They're just gonna start going down the EverQuest route and milking it.
I mean, they have to do more. Like, they have to keep adding to it is the idea instead of recycling, right? Like, a lot of people are disappointed in this because they're like, they want classic fresh, but they want, you know, they said like slight changes, stuff like that. They want different changes. They want things like, you know, making bosses, even though it's like, it's fucking Magmadar, but more HP. Oh, wow. Like, he doesn't do anything new. People want raid encounters to not just be harder from a stat check perspective. They want them to be harder from a mechanics perspective in classic, right? People are asking for like Karazhan crypts or Hyjal and, like, you know, new things, but it's so many resources to devote to that on Blizzard's side that it probably will never happen. But it's so interesting seeing these changes where they're like, no world buffs, because people complained about world buffs. Like, I don't think that's the solution personally. I think this makes the game fucking dead on arrival by having no world buffs. Like, I don't know if they're just throwing in the towel and saying Chrono Boon like didn't accomplish what they wanted it to, or they want this to be different. Because world buffs for me, you know, were a very large part of like why I enjoyed playing the game and why I enjoyed raiding and the stakes and everything involved. That, like, I understand that it was this extra layer of complexity for people to have to go out and get, and their chore and all of that. But, like, why can't you just make the Chrono Boon like a 6-hour cooldown or some shit that you can use? You can't have more than one of. You find ways to like get rid of loopholes. You use it, and it comes with all the buffs in it. So, like, I just have to go spend 10 gold every week or 20 gold every week on this thing that's got a 6-hour cooldown, and it'll apply buffs to me. And then it doesn't tick when I'm offline or anything like that. So you can just make it so that people have access to world buffs, but if they die, they still like lose their impact in the raid. So there's still like stakes and stuff. Or you make PvP servers and PvE servers. Instead of that, instead of normal and PvP servers, I think is what they originally called instead of PvE, PvP, you have world buff servers, you know? Well, like world buffs go out all the time, just like in the Chinese servers. So I don't know, but there's different solutions to this problem. And I just don't think that this is the right one for me, at least. Maybe it will be for the community, but it's not the right change that I would want to see. It's not the thing that's going to get me to play the game at all.
Yeah, see, that's the part that makes me skeptical about a lot of these changes, is that I understand they're trying to copy and paste the EverQuest Classic progression server model. So, for example, in EverQuest, for people that don't know, it was called progression servers. Is that they would progress, it would start again, and people would come back. One, they would play them during the most popular phase, and the thing is, if this gets introduced, it's gonna get introduced maybe in the middle of TBC, which is the timing of this is very weird as well. You're splitting your customer base during TBC. Instead of when I thought if they were going to do this, I thought they would do it maybe in Wrath sometime instead, when they get the Wrath biggest drop off.
When Wrath was winding down, I think that's when you do it, right? Like, in 2 years or something. Because like everybody I talk to, at least right now, like Classic is still only 4 months removed. Yeah. Right? When Classic ended, or I guess the original Classic ended. And a lot of people are sitting there going, they don't want to do the rank 14 grind again. They don't want to go fucking farm bugs in Silithus again. They don't want to do all this stuff again, at least for like another year or two. Yeah. They're like,
You need that break in between the reset before you, like we said this before in podcast. You need that break, otherwise you can't. The prospect of hardcore raiding all that stuff again is hard. And here's the thing. Here's the other problem with trying to do progression servers like this is that the player base has to be willing to go back and do it all over again. And in the WoW context, I was talking to Chad about this before we started the podcast, is that in the WoW context, I don't know if people have enough change and reason to go back. Because a big reason why what people would do in Everquest would be they would play, for example, Rogue in one version of the progression. Then they would go back and, a fresh server's come out. Okay, I'm going to play Mage this time. I'm going to play a different class. But in WoW, everyone that plays a lot has the outs already. Because leveling isn't hard in WoW. Leveling isn't hard. Getting to end game content isn't that hard. It doesn't take a huge chunk of time. It's not like how EverQuest was, where you really dedicate to being like a one class player for the most part. In that you could do that. But it's not like I'm gonna pick up Mage in the second version of Classic Fresh and be like, oh yeah, this is a big change. I'm pressing Frostbolt a lot. We're pressing Frostbolt in MC. This is super fun, guys. That's not going to happen.
They should definitely accelerate the leveling even more, though. They said TBC levels. I feel like it should be even faster.
Oh, man. That's the point of contention as well, because I was watching what some other people thought. So I watch Cargos.
A lot of people think it's the journey. You know? It's the journey of leveling, and I'm like,
here's the problem: is that I understand where they're coming from in that they love vanilla, they like that experience. It's something magical to them, is the leveling journey and what they do. But the problem is, and this has been brought up by other content creators as well. I think that's Josh Strife Hayes. I think I'm not sure if I got his last name right, but he makes videos where he talks about how it's very hard to make a hardcore MMO. RPG.
See the guy with the mug?
Yeah. The guy with the mug. Yeah, he makes really good videos talking about the things that players want that they can't actually create because there's not enough community, there's not enough people around that to actually support a game. And I think that's the case with the people who want the slow leveling experience, the OG vanilla over and over again. Is that's just not viable for Blizzard to do, or rather, a large chunk of the community doesn't want to do that. And if they did that, they would get people playing it, but I don't think you're going to get a huge amount of people who want to come back and go classic and be like, oh yeah, I love leveling, this super slow leveling experience, I'm going to do it over and over again, guys. I don't think you're going to get a huge community doing that. And as much as I understand that for guys like Cargos and such, that's the part of the game that feels special to them, it's very hard to build an entire server sustaining like the size of servers that Blizzard wants to reach with that slant on the community reaching like that level. It is very hard to reach that level. And then once we start talking about things like world buffs, where the world buffs are disabled, I feel like that's another thing where you're catering to a part of the audience who has said that they don't want world buffs and that maybe they would play classic again if they had no world buffs. But I don't think a lot of those guys would actually play Classic again. I think they're just saying like, yeah, we don't like the world buffs, we don't want to do that again. But I don't think necessarily they are the people that keep the server running and such. And
there's basically saying like, they would play again if the time investment wasn't that big. And that usually just means they're trying to juggle another game with it, right? Or like play something else. Because like I said, we've talked about main games before, right? Where like if WoW was your main game, you like don't play anything else, right? So like getting world buffs was just something that you do. But if you're trying to play other games simultaneously, world buffs were a fucking disaster. You were just like, I'm gonna drop WoW. It's like impossible for me to like why do I spend so much time on this game? It's not even like my main game or like my second game. And then I lose these things when I die or somebody messes up, and it was like not worth my time at all. It's just fucking useless. So I see that angle of it. That's why I think they should make the world buffs still a thing, but way more accessible or easier to get. And not as time consuming, because that's ultimately what people are saying is I don't think people, here's the thing. I don't think people, maybe I guess I can't speak for everybody, but my assumption is that people's issue with world buffs isn't that you lose them when you die. It's that they're hard to get, easy to lose, and then they're a big chore if you want to compete, and they became mandatory, right? Yeah. Like even though it's optional, people feel like people feel like they are pressured, even if they don't feel it, like they're pressured into getting them because other people are doing it. It's how a lot of things work, where people are like, oh, if you don't like world buffs, don't get them. But it's like, it's not that simple, right? There's a lot of pressure externally from other people, even from yourself, that you might put on yourself if you don't get them. But that's the thing that I think is people's biggest gripe with world buffs, is that they're hard to get. People grief them all the time. You have to like kind of revolve your day around it with drop timings and stuff like that. I don't think their issue with it was that when you die that they're gone, more so than it's if you die, this thing that you spent so much time getting is gone. Whereas if it wasn't so time consuming to get, I don't think you'd have a fucking problem with losing them as much, right? Sure, it would affect your parse, but you don't feel like you wasted all your fucking Wednesday getting these buffs and then raid logging for 3 days. And then you're like, what was the point, right? So that's my thought on it, right? People like world buffs. People like what world buffs do for their damage, right? They like what it feels like to have your world buffs the entire time. I just don't think they like the feeling of losing them after you have spent so much time.
The big show of doing them. I think,
right?
Like the problem I see here is that they've basically, if the server goes out as they've described it, you have no world buffs, you have increased HP on the mobs and such, and possibly more difficult and such. Man, MC is gonna take a long time, guys. I think people forget like how long raids took if you didn't have the world buffs, and it's one of those things where people have this nostalgic memory of, man, I'd like to go spend all that time raiding. I love it when the bosses are really hard and such. And
people as a raid leader, I can tell you, people dip at the first sign of people dip. They check out. They fucking stop playing well at the first sign of adversity from a boss. When they messed up or somebody else messes up and gets people killed and it's not their fault, people stop consuming. They stop using consumables every fucking pull. They stop using like thistle teas, haste pots, whatever the fuck, in the middle of the day when you're doing attempts and stuff, right? Because back in the day when I was doing progression, you do dry attempts, right? Like people don't do this anymore, which is like really strange, where everybody's just like, oh, you should consume for every attempt. But back in the day in original classic, you would do dry runs of bosses. You'd fucking throw yourself at the boss over and over again until you felt like, okay, if we consume this attempt, this is when we had to have a chance to really kill it, right? Like I remember not using mongoose elixirs and having it not called for all the time, right? Kills on PTR, don't do dry attempts. Wait, sorry, I don't. Guilds who do PTR don't do dry attempts. Oh, well, the thing is I've been in a lot of guilds in Classic. I had no guild that I was in, even the non-hardcore competitive ones, never had dry runs of anything. Like it was always an expectation, even in TBC right now, to always be consuming, right? And it's like bad. You get on like a fucking shit list if you don't consume. Clearly you haven't pugged. Well, that's different. Pugging is different because in pugs, people are going to be, not consuming because they're trying to get by. People don't even have their gear enchanted correctly, right? So, yeah. But regardless, yeah, it's an effort level thing. If somebody's putting in more effort than you, like they're more likely to be rewarded with loot, etc. But yeah, I feel like as soon as things get hard, Snow, people dip out. Like Mag Theridon phase 1, first like 2 weeks. I was actually disappointed because I'm in a guild that's like a top guild in the world in the US, and our raid 2 was like struggling with Mag, and people were like, their attitude was like shit, to the point where we were like, we just called the raid. And I was like, damn. I had the reaction where I was like, people are like, this boss is hard, people are playing like shit, this raid is shit. And I was just like, dude, the raid is shit because you're in it. Like, yeah, you're part of the problem. If you have this attitude, you're part of the fucking problem. Like, just to focus the fuck up. Holy shit. It was so bad, dude.
I feel like, I feel like these changes build a game that people maybe a very vocal minority has said they would enjoy, but they might not necessarily play. Like, here's the thing a lot of people don't realize when they think about these servers, like progression type servers and reboot servers, is that you can't have a server that caters to one specific demographic. If you want a really successful server, servers have to have the casual players, you have the people, the hardcore players, the people in between. Anytime you've catered to one specific demographic, it just doesn't work. Especially doesn't work if you don't cater to a little bit to the hardcore as well. Because here's the thing, guys. As much as like I have nothing against the casual players, I think they make the world alive.
Fuck you guys. No, I'm just kidding.
They are not the ones that make the guilds function and make guilds smooth and make the guilds run and such. Those hardcore players are the guys who, even in the casual players, they're the casual guilds, they're the ones carrying those guilds and making them run and function and such. So you always need a certain percentage of hardcore players in every server, no matter how casual the game is, because they are the ones that are doing the heavy lifting so that the other people can play casual. And I feel like these changes might alienate a lot of the mix of the people, and you're just going to end up with a really weird mix of people who, honestly, a lot of the hardcore players, I don't even know if a lot of them even want to go back. I don't know if a lot of them even want to go back. And the problem and what happened with Everquest Classic in particular is every server iteration past the first one, you get less and less of the hardcore players who want to go back. And the population just declines because, like, if you have less hardcore players, you have less people playing the game a lot, and the casual players don't play the game enough to keep the server alive. So, like, you need the hardcore players that filling in the gaps for the casual players to find the groups and such. And it's just like a bad spiral that continues to happen over and over, which just leads to the servers dying faster and faster. Which is why people subscribe for 1 month and they're like, oh, well, I guess I'm done. I got my 1 month server launch. People love server launches. Here's what I say. People love server launches because they're busy, you're playing with your friends and such. But after that initial rush, everyone's just like, oh, yeah, I already did this. I'm done.
I love sitting in queues.
Yeah. God, can you the WoW server experience. You guys get to sit in queues. You guys get to queue again before you go to sleep and wake up with your alarm and pray that the queue didn't go faster than your alarm said.
So bad.
Yeah. Have fun with that. Have fun with that experience. But
those were the days.
I'm really worried about how this will hurt the TBC servers, honestly, because
it's like retail when Nax. It's like when Shadowlands drops when Nax is around, right? Like, it's like we talk about cannibalizing your own audience. This would absolutely do that, right?
Yeah, this would absolutely do that because there are people that kind of bored of TBC because TBC is raid lock status if you don't PvP right now, and or for a lot of people, and it's at the point where if they release this and they're saying the open beta is going to be October. I could see more guilds just dying, just straight up dying, because we're already at the point, and I've noticed this over the past couple of weeks, is that we've reached a point in TBC, it seems, where guilds are now starting to really die. Or in that a lot of guilds are struggling to fill roster issues, or even some hardcore guilds on my server, and I play on White Main and Felina, I run into issues where the hardcore players are like, well, I'm not really having fun anymore, and I've already done this, and we beat the content. I'm gonna go play New World for a little bit, and such. It's getting to the point where there's a lot of guilds just straight up dying right now because they're having roster issues, and this is gonna hurt even more.
I mean, like it's a thing where like the people who have cleared 10 out of 10, they're like, okay, well, like maybe they don't PvP, or like they're like, this isn't fun in between. Or they don't have alts and stuff like that. And then there's the people who are like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 who are just frustrated they can't clear the content completely, right? And I think a lot of guilds are now, it's kind of like the vulture effect, where one guild is not able to clear the content. They're like 8 out of 10. They wipe a bunch on like Vashj and KT or Lady Vashj in general, and then they start to have like people want to leave, or their good players get picked up by 10 out of 10 guilds, right? And then they just leave the scraps, right? So the big guild who's having roster issues, like, you know, because like you're saying, even the hardcore guilds have some roster issues. Even my own guild has like roster issues from time to time, where we just hope another guild dies and we take the good parts, right? Yeah. You literally like poach from a guild that's like that you think is dying. And somebody comes from like a good player comes from like a 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 guild, and they come to your 10 out of 10 guild, and then they have a better time. And then that other guild just dies, and you ruin a lot of people's experience. So It's like it's what ends up happening. It's 100% what ends up happening just from a rating perspective. If you aren't able to clear the content, your good players are going to become concerned, and then they're eventually going to get picked up by guilds that quote unquote like deserve that caliber of player in a sense, right? They're just going to get picked up, and then your guild's going to do even worse and stand less of a chance of clearing 10 out of 10 because you're losing good players, which will then cause people to eventually become demoralized and just want to stop playing in general or give up on leadership and then go join that other guild. So it happens. It happens. Yeah, you just recruit extras from dead servers. Recruiting people from this is actually just a side thing. Sorry, Snow. Yeah. I don't like cross server recruiting because I haven't gotten to play with that player, and I can't play with them until they've already made the commitment to come over. And that's the thing I don't like. Right? I don't like that. I can look at your logs and stuff like that, but I don't know how you are as a person, all that type of thing. I don't get to do like a trial. And if you trial over here, you've already transferred your character. So it's like,
and logs, sometimes it's hard to tell from logs as well, because man, if you guys have been watching, I'm sure a lot of you guys have been watching other streamers, and even me and Zirene do KT and Vashj and such. And some of these fights, it's better if you pass lower. Like, especially like KT phase 1, the amount of times I've seen wipes happen in KT phase 1 and 2 where you shouldn't be dying. Like, you can do less DPS in phase 1 and 2 and be perfectly okay. In fact, it might be preferable if you do less DPS and you don't pull threat and such, because having pointless deaths because your like one player was trying to pass for no reason in a phase that doesn't require passing can sometimes just be the reason why your guild can't beat KT. It's like this one guy just keeps wiping the guild trying to pass for no reason. And logs just don't share the experience. And I mean, I have this for people that want to see like how bad this gets, and I think at this stage I don't have to prove it anymore, because when I first showed this, people didn't believe me. A lot of people didn't believe me in the comments, and this is the original how the Everquest classic progressions went. Is that this is a guild list. So because Everquest is a lot more scuffed, we used a website to track which guilds were number 1 by who could clear the content fastest, and then we had dates on who cleared everything. So we literally had lists. We had a database of every guild that was clearing content, and so I was in one of the top West Coast guilds, and we were clearing all the content. And then every phase up until we hit that point where people started leaving, and so it's Planes of Power in Everquest is when people started burning out and leaving the game. But then after that point hits, you start seeing the drop off in guilds. It's like, oh, this guild got stuck on this boss, and then all of those members got poached by all the guilds above that. And then the cycle repeats for every phase. We see as soon as we keep going up and up, we see more and more guilds disappear from this list. And eventually they just get to the point where, oh, there's like one guild that's full clearing. If we keep going up into the phases, at one point we get to like all the guilds become one in the end, and the most hardcore guild on the server survives, basically, is what happens. But this cycle is going to repeat in every MMO, especially in progression servers, especially in like fresh WoW servers and such, especially as people burn out. And the thing that really worries me about the timing of these classic fresh launches is that usually when these servers launch, they kill the previous server. Is when that fresh server launches, it kills, because too many people are now playing on the other server. It just kills it. It just kills the fun on the other server, because that server is no longer populated. For those of you guys who are now on unpopulated servers, you guys know it's not fun being on a realm with no one. And that's why you transfer to Whitemane. That's why you transfer to Felina or Gehenna's or whatever the popular server is. So this is what happens when a fresh server comes in, is that a lot of the dedicated player base starts playing more and more on that server, and it kills the original server. So that's why I'm worried about for TBC, is that if they launch this during TBC, are they just going to kill TBC servers prematurely? And then we're going to limp into Wrath?
Yeah, I mean, it's what happened with like Naxxramas, and as soon as the content was hard and Shadowlands had come out, people were playing that instead of like, getting stuff for Nax. So it's a lot. The thing with WoW is like, it's very hard to play multiple versions of WoW simultaneously with all the demand the game has as an MMO from you as a person if you want to play hardcore. So, and like you said, the hardcore players are the ones who, make the world go around. So I think it's very difficult, like I said, to play multiple versions. And it's funny because the guy who runs Warcraft logs, Kira,
Yeah.
He made a tweet where he was just like, he's gonna lose his mind with how many versions of WoW he has to support on Warcraft logs, because there's retail, there's TBC, there's the classic era, and now there's going to be the seasons of mastery, right? So, or season of mastery. So it'd be 4 versions of WoW that you would be supporting simultaneously, unless they shut down the classic era servers and stuff, or you decide not to support them anymore. So.
What I'm seeing though is like, or what I think is happening is, because they announced this as, it's really weird. They announced this as an open beta launch, right? They're gonna launch this as like an open beta.
Yeah.
It feels like they're testing the waters to see if they can get away with it. It feels like that's what happening is they're just gonna test the waters. You're gonna launch this as like this open beta thing that everyone can play, and they want to see how popular it is, if they can.
Yeah, because they didn't do a beta of the classic era servers, and those things are an absolute fucking flop.
Yeah.
But it's really it's a double-edged sword here, because, for example, if you don't do a beta and people don't play it, you're fucked, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, it was a bad idea. If you do a beta, people enjoy it, less people are probably going to play because you did a beta and they already got to play it again. like that's the thing, is betas right now feel to me like they definitely take a lot of the mystery out of a game and a lot of excitement out of it too. Because if I don't play the beta, or I don't watch someone play the beta, I'm going to be behind, right? Because I didn't watch them play the beta, or like play the beta myself.
Well, I mean, we see this with New World right now, right? Where like they're running into issue where everyone's played the beta and they know everything now about the game.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, is dirty min-maxers exist, and they always will, dude. Like Diablo 2 Resurrected came out, and I was like, people were like max level, or like not max level, because it's very hard to get that in terms of like actual experience because the clamp down. But like people were already done with like hell in the first like few hours. And I was like, oh shit. So people play this game for a very long time, and people will figure out new games in their systems very quickly. And I personally like enjoy those things, but I don't feel like this is like a good move for this time, because I think it's just too close to people having already played it. Because like the thing is, the people who wanted to play classic played classic, right?
Yeah.
The people who want classic, this classic, are typically people who already played classic. You're just trying to bring them back. But a lot of people are playing TBC, and you're either going to rip them from TBC, or you're going to get the people who quit and are going to come back and play this, or the people who already played it don't want to go back to it, right? So there's like kind of like 3 categories. I don't feel like you're going to get the people who are like, I felt like I missed the WoW vanilla train the last 2 years, and so I'll hop on this one. I feel like there aren't very many, like that. It seems to be the smallest category of people, right?
Yeah, there's just not enough of those people. I think it's kind of the problem. There's not enough of those people, and there's this whole problem as well in that, like, look, it worked in Everquest because there's no alternatives. And really, for people that have played Everquest, if you guys try it once and you like that sort of experience, there's nothing comparable to it. I've always been someone that said, if I had unlimited funds and unlimited time again, that would probably be the game I'd be playing, Everquest. But I don't play it because I know it's too time consuming for me. There's no way I can get anything done if I play Everquest. But there's no other game that matches that sort of crazy experience, where I was telling chat before that, look, if you want a game that's really hard, you want a game that's scuffed but really hard at the same time, a game where literally there's no threat meter, but everything depends on managing your threat, and it's on the player to control and know like which weapons do more threat, and adjust your own threat cycles for the tank, and where if you don't find your body in OG EverQuest, you lose all your gear, where you had to go to a raid with like 15 extra experience into your level, because every time you die, you lose 2% of your level. And so if your raid wipes like 10 times and you don't have enough experience capped into the next level, you actually downgrade your level and you can't use your spells anymore. So like I like the hardcore level, the hardcore-ness of that experience, but I also understand that I can't play that right now. But it's a very unique thing to EverQuest. Now, if WoW is going to copy the same thing with Holly Longdale at the helm of World of Warcraft Classic, I don't know if WoW provides that same thing where I'm looking at it and be like, oh yeah, Blizzard's done such a good job at I really trust Blizzard to make this a great experience again. And I don't know if I go back and think, man, I want to do that WoW thing again, and I can't find a similar fun thing to do besides this. Go back and do rank 14 in Classic again. I don't really get that same nostalgia for WoW. It doesn't work that same way. I got it for the first time around, but I don't know if WoW is that sort of game like EverQuest where it has that same appeal where I don't have another option or I don't have something more fun I would rather do. Versus EverQuest, where there really isn't an option. If you want a game that's like crazy niche and hard, but you like to explain to people don't understand EverQuest. You don't even have quests. If you want to level in EverQuest,
wait a second.
Ironically, it's called EverQuest, but you can't even level from questing. You level by getting 4 of your friends, going to
Leveling
one spot.
is the quest. There's only one quest.
Yeah, that's literally the quest.
That's the EverQuest.
Yeah. Literally, if you want to level, you get 4 of your friends. You go to one spot in the game. So, for example, if I use WoW as a example, it'd be like if we want to level, we go to the Barrens. We would sit in one spot of the Barrens. We would tell one person to go pull all the mobs in that surrounding area, and we would sit there for 5 hours killing mobs. And that one person's job would be just keep bringing mobs in. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna chat for 5 hours. Right, it's a completely different experience from WoW. It's something that you don't get because the game is too hardcore, so hardcore that it's not friendly to anyone that isn't that sort of specific niche player.
Yeah, it's very, very, very similar to Final Fantasy 11 back in the day. Like dying, you lose experience and like D-level, and then also you had a little spot that your group set up in, and there was no soloable content past level 10 unless you were like a beast tamer. Only in a very specific class, and you had one person who would go out there, find a monster, pull it, and then run it all the way back to your camp. So, and they had to string monsters together too, because it was like an experience bonus for chaining monsters and killing them within a certain time of the last one dying.
Yeah.
So you needed to like pull at a tempo that didn't get your.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the skills, like one of your tools in those old school MMOs, and we're talking about basically old school MMO, how things worked before WoW, is that literally one person is called the puller, and his job is to keep the tempo going so that there's always one mob in the camp, but the group's never waiting again for more mobs to come, so you had to keep the mobs coming at a consistent pace, matching your guild's or your raid's DPS or your group's DPS basically. Mm-hmm. And it's like an old school experience. And if you wanted that old school experience, EverQuest is basically the gold standard of that old school experience. So that's why people go back and play it. But like if we compare that to WoW, and what does WoW bring unique to it? And what WoW did is they took EverQuest. They took the top players from EverQuest and made it a little bit more casual friendly. And it's weird to say because people look at WoW as the non-casual friendly MMO now, because it's so scuffed and hard in a lot of ways. But compared to old school MMOs, WoW is a lot easier. And what they brought was questing, for example, and it's something that guys like Kael'Thas and a lot of the hardcore community really love, is questing and killing mobs and leveling in that way. But I don't know if there's a big enough community who looks back at that fondly for WoW to launch like dedicated servers just around that kind of content. Like I feel like those people already have what they want, and they have better versions that are coming from not Blizzard. Because like even guys like Kael'Thas are literally building their own versions of the game practically just so they can get that more better, I just want to sit down and do hardcore leveling and questing experience. And that's not the version that Blizzard is bringing, because there's just not enough people that love that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a business thing, right?
So I don't know how they're going to make this. Like, I don't even know whether this will be successful, honestly. I don't know if they're going to launch this and it's just going to flop because there's not enough people that want to go back.
I just don't think the timing is good. I think it's like maybe they've seen people leave, or they've heard talks of like people wanting Classic again and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's like you literally have Classic era servers right now, and the fact that they aren't that popular should just be a fucking indicator that this isn't a good idea right now, right? Like you can get people excited about like some of these changes, but I just don't think it's the right time, you know? Like I said, I think Wrath, and like also here's the thing too, is like I think as Wrath is winding down, because I don't really want to play Kata, and I don't know how many people are really going to want to play Kata. I know there might be some. But that's when I think you do this, right? That's when I think you actually do this. Because like what's going to happen with the Wrath servers? Do you just keep it Wrath forever? Do you make it Cataclysms coming out? Like, do you keep doing that? I just think I think it's too soon for a few reasons. I think it's too soon because I think it's too close to TBC and also way too close to like, original classic. And then the other thing I'm concerned about is it's not enough time for this to be any fucking good in my mind. Like, there's no way this is going to be good, right? There's no way this is going to be executed well. No way that they have enough time to make this polished. No way they have enough time to add enough features that would make me interested in it. Like, if they told me this was coming out in 2 years after Wrath of the Lich King, I'd be excited because I'd be like, oh, they could actually like do new instances. They could actually, change things about classes and stuff, right? Yeah. It would actually give them time to do those things while they have these other things going on with TBC and with Wrath. So that would make me excited, as if they said this was a project that was in the works and these were the things they had planned. But when they're telling me that there's a beta next fucking month, I'm just like, holy shit! Like, sorry, this month, October, this month, then I'm just like, holy shit! Like, there's no way this is going to be something that I would want to play, right? So that's me.
Yeah, it's one thing you brought up in that the timing of it is so awkward because they don't even spend enough resources on TBC to make it a smooth experience. So how are they gonna like TBC? We literally just had the main raid boss of TBC not work on the main raid night. And you're going to tell me now they're going to launch this version of WoW at the same time? There's no way that's going to be a smooth experience. And the other problem is alternatives. Is usually you do this, like, look, the reason why it worked in Everquest progression servers is that, yeah, someone in chat is correcting me. Yeah, I correct myself. Both main bosses are not working correctly in TBC. Yeah, but the reason this worked in Everquest progression servers, right, is that they would introduce this after you hit Planes of Power in Everquest, which for people who haven't played Everquest is basically the equivalent of, oh, we hit Wrath of the Lich King. Okay, people don't want to play beyond this point. So now you give them the alternative. Okay, fresh progression server, fresh server. We can go back to the time when Everquest was good, or in our case, when WoW was good. Go back to the basically the vanilla TBC Wrath cycle, right? Those are the periods where people like to play WoW before they feel it became too retailized for the most part. And that hasn't happened yet. So we're coming into this with like, people have the alternative, and a lot of PvPers are not going to go back to classic PvP. Like, people who love PvP right now, there's no alternative to Arena. It's not like Arena players are going to be like, oh yeah, I really want to do that rank 14 grind again. Not really. I know Bobco was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but he was saying, as someone who's ranked to 14, he's not going to do it again. He has no desire to go back and do that again, because, I mean, vanilla PvP, while fun and open world at times, isn't anything on Arena. Arena's way more fun for diehard PvPs. So you're not even going to get the PvP scene going back.
Yeah, this was another thing too, is not only are raids going to be harder, because like more HP, they said they're going to introduce boss mechanics, or like reintroduce boss mechanics that were taken out, and no raid buffs. Everything's faster, so like you're only going to farm BWL for 4 months until AQ comes out, and then for AQ you have 8 weeks before Nax comes out. Like, loot drama over DFT is going to be way worse than it was back.
Yeah, they need to increase the loot, man, because or like people will just have to accept the fact that you're not going to get full bis, which is honestly something that was always around in the old school days. But this is one of those things where the player base has changed to expect to get to full bis, or to expect to have the chance of full bis.
Yes.
But
exactly.
Like, again, this is one of those things where it might be they're copy pasting over from Everquest, because this is in Everquest, this is expected. It's expected you don't get full bis. I tell people a story where I played Everquest classic progression servers, and I literally saved all my DKP for something like 3 months to buy one item. And I got that one item, I'm like, yes, now my character is complete. Meanwhile, I haven't gotten any loot for 3 months because loot was just so much more rare. You're not expected to get to full bis. And I don't know if the current player base of WoW is down with that. People like the shiny items.
Yep.
People really like the shiny items, and they're not down with like only 2 mages in the group getting that one super OP item. They want all the mages want at least that chance of getting that super OP item, and they might have to increase the loot things. But this is on top of all the problems that we don't even know whether this is going to be popular enough for people to want to do.
I definitely don't think so.
But here's a question, Zirene. So will you play it at all? Like, would you do it at all?
I won't play it. I know I won't.
Because people have been asking me, especially as a content creator, people are asking me, like, look, if this actually works, like, when we don't even know if it is going to work or if it's going to be successful. If it is a successful thing, they're able to make this 1-year cycle work the same like it worked in Everquest. Would I go back and keep doing that again and again and again as like every year, fresh, classic, fresh? I don't think I would do it personally because that sounds like hell. that sounds awful.
Even if it is good, I don't think I'd play it. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I just feel like right now I don't want to play Classic again. Right? I wanted to play Classic again after 15 years. When I got to like relive a lot of things that had happened, or like, you know, getting like Thunder Fury again and like those types of things, like really great memories. And then I just feel like if I go into next year and I'm like playing tank again, because I don't really want to play anything else besides like Rogue, Warrior, Paladin. I'm playing tank again, and then I'm working towards Thunder Fury again. And I'm like, this is the 3rd time in my life I've fucking done this. And these 2 ones are really close to each other. And what did the last one amount to? Pretty much nothing, right? Like memories, things like that. But it didn't amount to anything in my life afterwards. So, because, you know, like I showed you like my dead gnome character, right? Like there's things that when I know it's only going to last a year, maybe this is a little bit weird, but it's kind of like, God, what is it? It's like knowing the termination date of something makes me less likely to invest in it because I know it's going to expire, you know? Right? Like, I don't know when TBC's ending. I know it does have an end to it. But because I, with my little monkey brain, don't know or have a like hard stop date of when it's going to happen, it makes me more likely to continue playing it because I don't know where it's going or when it's going to end. But if they tell me this is a year server, I know when it's going to end. And for some reason that just like messes with me and makes me not want to do it. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a weird feeling or not, but it just makes me less likely to invest in it. And even if it is good, I probably still won't play it because there's a lot of good things out there that I haven't played, right? I mean, fuck, I've been playing classic WoW. So yeah, there's a lot of good games out there that I haven't played. And I know
a lot of good TV shows, man. Like you know how I watch Squid Games is because like I'm so busy as a like content creation and such that like I literally sometimes I'd like fast forward through bits because I couldn't like finish the episode in time. Like, oh god, I gotta go edit this video. But I want to see what happens in this Squid Game episode. Okay, I guess I gotta fast forward a little bit and skip bits and pieces here.
Yep.
I don't have the
I still haven't watched it.
Oh really? It's really good, Zirene. Squid Game's really good.
Well, here's the thing, you told me it's good. Probably still won't watch it yet. You know, it's going to be a bit. You know what I was doing the other day? I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0. That's what I was doing because it was the middle of the fucking night. And I don't know why I'm like this. So end up clicking through fucking shit on YouTube and then watching random things and then going down a rabbit hole. I'm being like regain my senses and I'm like, why am I on episode 6 of fucking season 0 Yu-Gi-Oh? What the fuck is this?
why have I been looking and googling Dragon Ball Z power levels for the past 2 hours?
Yeah.
Like Goku has a power level of 8 million at this point in the trilogy.
Yeah, was Brawly really stronger? Like what point would he have actually been able to beat him? Oh my god!
Great YouTube content though. The guys that make those videos, great YouTube content. Which, by the way, again, to get on the content creation line of things, guys, I don't even know what I would recreate if I went back to play WoW again. What do I just like private my videos and then re-release them periodically? I just re-upload the same video over and over when we hit phase 2 of Classic Fresh again. It's like,
this is your bis.
Yeah, like here's your bis, guys. You haven't seen this one before. I added a different backdrop to this video. So it's like, man, I I can't do it, guys. I can't do it. I can't go back and make content for Classic again. I might like hop on just so I can go like ambush someone outside Blackrock Mountain and then I'll call it a day. But I don't know if I'd ever properly actually play it. And I feel like that's the way a lot of people. Yeah, I feel like that's how it is for a lot of people. Is that they have like, oh, well, maybe I'll like make a out character and maybe I'll spend a little bit of time, but they have no desire to spend any actual time playing that game. They just might like jump around for an hour or run around in Stormwind or something.
Yeah, log in and jump between the squares in Ironforge. That is the routine.
As Hordu, they go to Ogrila and jump on the spars above the bank. Like you got to try to jump and never touch the ground. Yeah, you do that for a good hour, and you're good. That's your classic content for you. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's such a weird timing window. It's such a weird timing window that I don't really understand all of this.
I think I understand enough of it to say it's not a move that I would make or think is good. They must have their reasons for thinking it's a good move. I don't know what they are though, because they're lost on me.
Yeah, because of all the timing windows, it's just in the middle of TBC when I'm seeing all these guilds. Like, I don't know if like it almost feels like if they wanted to do this, it would be a timing window where they say, "Oh, TBC's dying. I guess people are done. Okay, let's reboot now." Because at least that's what they did in Everquest, is that they hit the point where servers were dying because people don't play past a certain point, and they said, okay, time to reboot. But I feel like that hasn't really happened fully in TBC, and even if it does, like a lot of people consider TBC classic still. It's not like they still consider TBC part of the golden era. We're not past the golden era yet, even though people may be quitting. TBC is still considered a fairly classic-ish version of WoW that people love.
I think without a doubt, Cataclysm is where people consider the golden era to either stop or die, right?
Yeah.
I know some people think like Mop is where the nail actually went into the coffin, but the final nail was in the coffin. But Cata, I think for a lot of people, was Warcraft to them was the Warcraft 3 story, which is like the rise and fall of Arthas. And now it's finally like the end of Wrath of the Lich King. It was like that's what everybody was like waiting for, is an encounter with Arthas, who was the main protagonist and antagonist of Warcraft 3, right? So I think that it kind of runs its course, right? This is in my opinion, it's kind of like, dude, I feel like it's the trilogy. It's like we're the old like people who love Star Wars, and we're just like, yeah, fucking the first 3 Star Wars movies are the best movies. And then there's like the prequels that come out after, and people are like, oh, these are okay. And then there's like the new ones where people are like, what the fuck is this? Like, what's going on? This is terrible. What have you done, Disney? And that's what happened with later expansions like BFA and all that. So a lot of people just want to go back and relive those golden eras. But do I want to watch A New Hope twice in a row? Probably fucking not.
Man, I mean, Instant in the chat is saying that people want to play fresh and that's why they are releasing it. Well, but the thing is, you have to think about it not as yourself, Instant. You sound like someone that...
I mean, we're thinking about it as ourselves.
Yeah, you have to think about it as like the entire community, as like everyone. Are there enough people that actually want to play fresh? Or is it a very vocal minority that is talking about fresh that might not necessarily have enough people or enough hardcore people going back and to sustain the game? Like, because would Blizzard's version of vanilla isn't even like that, like the ideal vanilla in a lot of people's eyes, and I just feel like there's not enough people that want to go back and do it. It's like, as much as people want, some people say they want fresh, I think they'll load up to fresh and be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a thing. It's people have this nostalgic version of fresh and ideal classic in their head that they feel that Blizzard can one day achieve, but I feel like that's not going to happen, and they're not going to get that idealized version of vanilla pretty much ever. Because at the end of the day, there's one side of the community that really wants this idealized version of this is my ideal vanilla WoW. And Blizzard's version is never going to line up with that because Blizzard still wants to make money at the same time. So they're not going to dedicate the game to that. They're going to make changes to try to get other people to play it. But at the same time, they're not the other people who they're trying to get in aren't going to necessarily want to play that either. So they're kind of like, there's a saying in marketing where if you try to satisfy everyone, you satisfy no one. And I feel that this is what is happening with this server, is that they're trying to listen to the community and do all these things, but they're trying to satisfy all these different groups of people so that I don't think anyone's going to be satisfied with it. Like, you have the hardcore players who say they don't want the faster leveling. You have the people who like the faster leveling, but they don't like the world buff changes. And it's like everyone, there's just not a big enough community that can all agree, like, this is the ideal version of Classic. This is the version the majority of us will want to play and go back to do. That it's so split that you're just going to release this Frankenstein server that no one really is going to love, I think is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same camp. I just don't think it's a good idea at the time, right? I don't think it's enough of a change for me to want to play it. And I don't think it's enough of a change that I would want to a game that I love to get me to play it again now, because it's kind of run its course in my mind, and I'm invested in another version of the game right now. So it's weird because this is like a problem that I don't know if a lot of game companies run into this unless they're like, they know that they were going to be releasing like new versions of the game, like FIFA and stuff like that, or like Call of Duty, right? Where you are intentionally trying to cannibalize your audience and just have them move to the next version, right? Like, just be like, oh, by the way, this new version of Call of Duty's out. It's like upgrading a textbook in fucking college, where it's like, you need version 4 of this textbook, not version 3. But I have version 3. And we got to spend $120 for this one that has like 5 changed paragraphs throughout the entirety of it. Oh, fucking Christ. So yeah, it's it does not feel genuine to me. It feels like it's rushed or hastened, and it feels like the intentions of it are not placed in a place that I can really see as being like wholesome, or from like, you know, the original Blizzard perspective, which was Blizzard made games that they themselves wanted to play, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people at Blizzard are like, this is something that even they would play, right?
Yeah.
Making games for themselves that other people happen to want to play.
Yeah.
Because they were in tune with their audience.
Yes, and see, like right now, chat is you guys are exactly showing the problem. Is that some of you guys are saying like, look, maybe they can only get 2 versions of these servers successfully. There's enough people to run 2 servers, like enough people to populate those servers. But Blizzard isn't in the business of making like these servers and such and rebooting and such to try to just get like a barely surviving 1 or 2 servers, right? They're in the business of trying to make money as well. So they're not trying to make these servers that are going to appeal to like a small player base who will fill up 1 or 2 servers. They're trying to get everyone to come back and play WoW again. They're trying to get the majority to play WoW again. They're not trying to build something for the hardcore community or for like the dedicated classic community. They're trying to find a way to get people to keep playing WoW, like the majority playing WoW. So if you think they're gonna make like an ideal WoW experience and dedicate a lot of people to that, they haven't even done that for TBC. And it's the thing that every content creator in WoW since the dawn of time, I swear, that I've watched, has gone at one point in time gone on a rant where they're just so sick of the way Blizzard treats the player base and that they don't put the resources in, and they're just so burnt out on trying to get Blizzard to make the right changes that at some point, like, I feel the way it is right now is that a lot of content creators are kind of in the waiting room. They're just coasting right now, and they're waiting for the Riot Games MMO or something of that level to finally just jump ship completely. Because I know at least that's the way I know like a lot of PvPers I talk to as well. It's like I know Chanimo's waiting for that. I know I'm waiting for that myself. Is that probably if the Riot Games MMO comes out and is good, I'm probably done with WoW. That's probably when I will be done with WoW. Is that I'll completely hop into that, because the faith of the player matters a lot, and people do not have faith in Blizzard anymore. They just don't. And these changes like these just further amplify the lack of faith community is going to have, because now people will look at this and think, hey, Blizzard, maybe you want to fix TBC before you do all this other stuff. Maybe that's a good idea, but instead you're trying to do these things with like the classic season changes servers. And I think that's the problem you're going to have, is a lot of people just want TBC fixed first.
Yeah. Like, it just feels like they're just releasing a bunch of like half-baked products, and this is why I think it's like, there's no way it can be good or good enough that I would want to play it. It's too fast, right? It's like not enough time invested into it. I mean, even when they delay something like Shadowlands, they had that whole thing where it was like, rather delay the game and have it be good than release a bad version. I'm like, that sounds good. But now, yeah, it's exactly what's going to happen, in my opinion, is it's not going to be something that I would enjoy playing. And there's going to be a lot of problems with it. And one of the problems might just be that it's not new enough for me. It's not different enough. So they have a very unique obstacle to overcome at Blizzard to get me to play this game.
Yeah.
Which is really weird, because like I love classic WoW. I love that fucking version of the game. I love vanilla. But do I want to play it again right now? I would be if I felt that way. I'd be on the classic era server.
Oh, the two other people, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
an MMO is like made up of the people, and if you keep dividing your people like this, you're just going to kill your games.
Right, yeah, and it's like TBC already, a lot of realms are dying right now as it is. There's a reason why everyone is on Whitemane and Felina on the US side, is because these are the servers where everyone's congregating and getting. And if you don't get a big community shift coming into your server and such, or into your new game type, then it's just not going to feel like WoW. It's just you're not going to get the WoW experience. Because you can create
log on to Classic Era right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, you want to play Classic, go log on to Classic Era with no one on there. You know, it's one of those things where you can even look at the nostalgia people feel for Classic by seeing how many people actually even paid to log into the old Classic servers on those old Classic realms. Because I thought I would be someone who might pay to log in once in a while to check in. Oh yeah, that's my undead rogue with full bis that I went through all Classic with. No. I haven't logged in on that one side, and I haven't paid to, and I don't intend to ever probably pay to log into that guy, because I don't see the point. I don't miss vanilla enough to pay that money to go log in on that. It just makes no sense for me.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I completely echo that. I think that's the biggest problem that is going on right now, is even if we love the game, if that's the thing that's the most concerning with me, is even if you and I love the fucking game, and even we aren't fucking logging in right now, it means that it's probably too soon and probably needs things to change. Like, dude, I feel like I'm in a fucking relationship with Blizzard, and I'm just like, just like, I need time, Blizzard. I just need time. Okay. Like, I still love you. I still love vanilla. I just need some time to, it's like, you have to leave in order for me to miss you. I can't miss you if you're here all the time. So I can't get the desire to play classic WoW.
See, Zirene, that's why they're not giving us any community interaction. They're just letting you miss the community interaction.
You're smothering me, Blizzard. You're just smothering me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly. So I just feel like it's too much, and it's not enough in the it's too much in the department of like too much classic too quickly, and it's not enough in the like wait, analyze, see. It definitely, somebody said earlier, it feels like desperation. And I do kind of feel that a little bit. Like, it doesn't feel, maybe it's just misinformed data. I don't know. Because I agree that whenever I see somebody talk about classic, it's almost like the hipster thing to be like, oh, vanilla is like really good. And, vanilla was the best era. And like world buffs weren't good for the game and stuff like that. Like, it definitely feels like that vocal minority are the people who are, being heard because they're the ones talking the loudest, right? So I don't know, because just because you're louder doesn't make you more correct, and doesn't even make you the majority. But I do feel like Blizzard is either misinformed, misguided, or they just have no clue what people want.
Yeah. Yeah, hour 3. Someone in the chat saying hour 3 of our very short episode today, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is a very questionable move by Blizzard, and I guess what I will say is that Riot Games, whenever your MMO is ready to test, feel free to hit me up, please. I'll happily jump on board. I'll create the best content for you guys. Don't worry. But yeah, for now, I just hope that this doesn't mean they start neglecting TBC, because there's still so many problems. I mean, we're not even sure if we have the bosses working in TBC yet. Can we at least, before you guys go work on your classic fresh stuff and get that working, can we at least get Vashj totally working? That'd be great if we could get that working first.
Hey, Kael'Thas is working. You can't have both broken at the same time, right?
It's true. 50%. They're shooting for 50%. Blizzard are college students aiming to pass the course, and they have 50%.
It was a monkey paw type thing. They were like, it was like, man, I just wish they could fucking fix Kael'Thas. It's like, nope, here you go. Vashj is broken now, and it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, it's like, oh, you wanted both fixed? You wanted both working at the same time? Oh, sorry. Like,
you didn't say that. You guys did not say anything about making sure Vashj was working.
Mm-hmm. All I heard was Kael'Thas, fix Kael'Thas, fix Kael'Thas. Oh, man.
All right, but I mean, I think that's all that can really be said about that. Hopefully, we'll see you guys next week for when Blizzard decides to launch our fresh TBC servers the following week.
Did you enjoy Phase 1? Relive the glory days of Phase
TBC,
1. Yeah. When there was no Lady Vashj yet and no bugged end bosses. When your guild wasn't completely dying, but they were just bored clearing Onyxia twice. Oh, man.
I guess this has been episode 28. We will see you guys next week, but we do have like good content planned. Like I was saying at the start, I do want to make an entire section of my website and the podcast. We're going to cover how to run a guild that doesn't suck and keep it running. Yeah, so next week, guys, Snow and Zirene's guide to running a guild that doesn't suck, and all the resources you need to make sure that guild doesn't suck. Because I know that's something that's a pain point for a lot of people right now. Your guilds are in troubles. You need to save them. You need to salvage them. I understand. I feel you on one of my characters. I'm running through that as well. So next week, guys, we'll have a whole thing.
So what is it? It's like Zirene and Snow's guide to raid leading, aka how I got my raid to shut up and start killing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh god.
But yeah,
good times.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys. We will see you guys next week. Take care.
Yep. See ya.